Yeah. Um, Today's Thursday, the 8th of March, 2018, and we're doing a rerun of last week. That was fun, Aaron.
This was.
And we have Astral here and we have Patricia here, and Astral and Patricia are English and Aaron's from America.
I speak English.
So we had that was fun last week when we got bomb bombed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm still traumatized. That was it was a new one to me. I guess I haven't been around enough in these hangouts to even know that was really a thing. So, you learn something new every day, I guess. Yeah. Be wary of porn bombers. Apparently, I mean, that's a massive exploit that Google has there. And like you mentioned in a video there, Karen, that they could fix that. They could easily fix it. I mean, I know how they could fix it. I could fix it probably in a day or two. And at the code level, I mean, it's pretty simple. You would just have a link that's private, and then that leads or redirects to the actual Hangout location. And you can only get to the Hangout location via that private link. That way, when you do screen share, you're not sharing the actual link, the private link. Kind of easy. But so Google's probably doing that on purpose because they want us to get porn bombed. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was talking about how we should basically take YouTube down. And no coincidence, it was shortly thereafter that I was blocked, and you know what. So yeah, that was quite an adventure.
You've been blocked, Aaron.
Have I been blocked?
Oh, like recently, not recently. This is before.
Oh, like from a Hangout or something?
Oh no, you said you. Oh, you're blocked. Is that?
I was blocked
I thought you said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've never.
Oh, I see. The other day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've never
Me
had.
Me too. I couldn't do anything.
Right.
I don't even know how I managed to stop the Hangout.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, we were talking there, trying to stop it, and just the fact that someone can come on there, who you, the creator of the Hangout, did not give permission, and they can go and they can block you or disrupt the whole entire thing, and then do the screen. I mean, that's completely an exploit, a problem on Google's part. They could easily fix it. They don't. Why don't they? I guess we ask those kinds of questions about Google all the time. So, yeah, social media. Huge problem with social media right now. Censorship. Censorship is rampant, and basically, it's not letting down. It's getting worse, as far as I can tell. And now there's all these politics involved, though, which is actually maybe a good thing, because they're actually I forget who it was that was actually addressing the various execs at like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter regarding censorship and the fact that they have limited liability because they're representing themselves as a sort of a public forum, and if they actually go in, show bias, and moderate themselves, then they're no longer a public forum, and so they are no longer under the certain protections of the government. And so that might actually change things for us a little bit. We'll see. That is kind of something that we might be able to press, is just the fact that they have to stay out of it. Like, they can't show any bias. They can't really say, oh, well, we don't agree with your views, or their centralized moderation doesn't agree with our views, so they're going to censor us. But then they're going to let all these other people, cuss up a storm or show violence or, show hate speech. This is obviously hate speech that they don't censor on YouTube. Meanwhile, they're just, they're calling, when we show a video of David Hogg rehearsing his lines, or, of him cussing up a storm, that's a violation of, that's like bullying. We're bullying David Hogg. Give me a break. That's completely ridiculous. It's just journalism, You're just going to show videos. That's just evidence. you know, of whatever you want to, I mean, however you want to interpret it, it's open to the public to interpret. And that's the whole idea behind journalism, is that you just present the facts, and then the facts can be interpreted by the public. And ultimately, the public can vote with their attention, with their support, you know, what they choose to put energy behind. You know, and as far as I can tell, a decently large portion of the population saw a lot of this stuff with David Hogg, and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Why is that guy rehearsing? Why is he an actor? You know, he's saying he's an actor. All these things, they come down to like, you know, I think a greater portion of the masses are waking up to this fake news. And so instead, you know, they're trying to censor us. They're trying to censor the true speakers, the ones that are putting that out there, because we're at a critical point where, you know, if they don't kind of slow us down, then we are going to gain so much momentum and traction that, you know, we will take over as sort of the dominant thought form.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I feel that as well, that it's almost at any moment now, people will realize, you know, this is all that you see on the TV. Hey, that's been prepared. It's served on a plate exactly how we like to eat, exactly what we can consume, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Aaron, but carry on. Yeah, I love it. Go on.
It is true. It's like, and some of it's so ridiculous, it's comedic. Like the Roadster, the Tesla Roadster in space. I mean, that's so ridiculous. If you look at it, if you know anything about physics at all, physics, chemistry, astronomy, you know, any of these things, you just know that that's a complete impossibility. And you know, and just anyone with a reasoning, rational mind would be able to see that and have seen that. And so that's another thing where it's waking up a lot of people. Now, what's their agenda behind that? I mean, it's so obviously ridiculous that it seems like there's got to be some sort of secret agenda behind it, where they're, you know, either they're trying to disclose in this way, maybe they're gonna use Elon Musk as the fall guy. You know, that maybe he doesn't even know. I wonder that about him. Honestly, I think he might just be so oblivious that he just doesn't realize that, you know, he thought that he was putting his Roadster up into space, but really it's like in the, you know, Rockefeller basement, and they're just, you know, they just took it. Oh yeah, we'll take that. We'll put it up in space for you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got that for you, buddy. And then he's like, you know, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. I mean, that's so ridiculous. Why would anyone say that unless they honestly believe?
Oh, the guy's on ayahuasca, man.
It's tripping. That's for damn sure.
It's the most ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't.
That he's on ayahuasca. I think it was quite funny, actually. You got to laugh. You have to laugh.
It's probably the problem. that might be the world's solution is ayahuasca, but we just put that in the chemtrails, you know. See what happens. Oh boy. But yeah, so I mean that's obviously a big issue. Let's see here. I don't even remember what I was talking about last week. That was so long ago. But there's a lot that has been going on that is happening. This video that just came out by Control Forever. It's a good video. It's very well done piece. Probably the most supportive journalistic pieces that I've seen, where, you know, it was not in any way really. I mean, it was open-minded, and it presented the information very openly and non-biased. And you could tell there's maybe a little skepticism, but they didn't even really let that, you know, sway their overall presentation. So that was a good one. I can put the link here. People haven't seen it somewhere. Well, and Mark Sargent just posted it last night, and and that guy, he gets a lot more views and a lot more trolls than I do. Because I mean, I think in the first 15 minutes, he had more views than I had, or double my views. But then also the amount of trolls on that thread is amazing. I mean, like, it's, you know, it's, you should just look through it. I mean, there are some that are just, you know, blatant, like, I think they're just robots. Like, I think he just has robots that automatically troll every single video he does. They just come out, Mark Sargent is flat-tard, you know, like, well, okay, you know, just instantly as soon as he puts a video up, downvote and these rude comments, you know. But
Aaron,
yeah, yes,
Aaron,
yes.
oh, the chat's just gone up. Hang on, let's go wait for the chat to come back. 2012 Jammer, just congratulations on your video.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good one. We did that actually like a year ago. Say again?
That was a good video. Really like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it too. I thought it was well done. And we actually recorded it probably almost a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. It took them a long time to finally put that together. And I think there might have been a little controversy surrounding it, maybe internally with them, about when and how, because they're supposed to release it actually in January, I believe. They obviously didn't. And then I saw a draft version of it, and I honestly thought the draft version was a little better. There was a few scenes that they cut out for the final version that were a little less supportive of the idea, you might say. But whatever, it was still good though. It was still well done, I thought.
It's brilliant. Well done, Aaron.
Thank you. Yeah, we got more on the horizon, on the flat horizon in that regard too. We have, well, there's something that's supposed to come on Netflix this year. I don't know. That's probably going to be a hit piece, honestly. But who knows? It's with some magician, and he did some trick with a globe. I might have just revealed it, but whatever. And then there's a documentary. Well, I actually talked to Mark Sargent. His documentary is supposed to come out, I don't know, in another month or two or something, I think he said. And then I have a documentary that's going to come out, I don't know when. They're not even done with it yet. I'm still making it. And then we have the big docu-series, which is in the works and been very actively in the works here, where we have a bunch of main big players on board that got little snippets to put into their what do they call it, their pitch reel or their sizzler that they're going to pitch to all these big networks. And so they're shooting for all the big networks. They want to pick up this docu-series where we go on expeditions to Antarctica and who knows what, all various things with funding, you know, just get the funding to do all this and just like settle it, right? So that's exciting. That's coming up probably a few months. We'll see some more action there.
Well, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be cool. Let's go to Antarctica. I might be on one of those expeditions, but we'll see. I'm more interested in going to the north, honestly. I'm more interested in just checking out what's up there, or most interested in letting other people scope it out.
Hey, can I interrupt you there about the north?
Sure, please. Yeah.
So yesterday I met this guy from Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
He had these kind of tattoos across his hands. I've got photographs. He let me take photos of his hands.
Wow.
And I told him about, you know, the Sun and Moon group and all that lot, right? And I said, I'm interested in maps, you know, old stories about all the trips to the north and what have you, you know. And he said to me, he went, "Oh, you're a flatlander." He said, "You're a flatlander, right? Flatlander." I said, "Oh, yeah, flat earther, yeah." He ran a mile. I swear to God, the guy ran a mile. And I said, "Yeah, but listen to me, listen." Anyway, I managed to speak to him. When he calmed down, it was honestly, it was one of them, oh, flatlander, almost like I'm a blue monster or something, you know. So anyway, he calmed down. Said, I gave him a little example, you know, the gyroscope on a plane and it's flying flat. It's not dipping its nose. It's not dipping its nose, I said. You would notice, you know, when you go over a bump on the road, you feel that, don't you? If you're asleep in the back, you feel that. Oh, one of them. And I explained that to him, you know. He ran a mile. He was like, no. And I said to him, cognitive dissonance. Look it up, man. You're suffering big time from, no. he was a grown adult, you know, and oh man, it's just his reaction. It was just so scary, like, you know, that he ran a mile. Oh, he couldn't get away fast enough inside the shop.
Oh, yeah.
All because of a map.
I know. It happens, doesn't it? That happens. Hey, there's Jay.
Hey, Jay.
How's it going there, Mr. Lumen?
Hey, good.
Hello, Jay. We are live.
Good evening, Jay. How are you, my brother? You got your pajamas on there?
Pajamas?
No. It's not pajamas.
What do you sleep in?
Astro, you got to get to know me first before you do that. You got to get to know me, man.
You can quaint here.
I just got
Got
in.
a coat on, Astral. It's a coat.
Thank you.
Astral's sleep.
Naughty boy.
Always see, because you're quite naked when we get to see you most days. That's what it is.
A shirt off doesn't mean I'm naked. Okay?
But if you can't see the rest, then you never know.
This is true. This is true. What y'all talking about?
What are we talking about? We're talking about.
Going to talk a bit more about his Project Lumen.
I'm always talking about Project Lumen, but we were also talking about media appearances and expeditions to the south and north, and all that good stuff. And we were talking about trolls. Astral was just sharing his experience with a troll, an in-person, real life troll, and you know, those exist as well, as we all know. Yeah, I think the like increase the number of trolls is a good sign, because it's showing the cognitive dissonance is really starting to get, it's like setting in, you know. People are starting to freak out at like this collective level. So then you'll have these people where they're just, globe heads will just explode right in front of you. And that's great, because, you know, and that's actually the moment when they most need to be flat smacked properly, because that's when they're like most, you know, they might not really receive it at that moment, but they're going to spin around, you know, on their emotionless earth and think about it. And they're going to think about what you said in that time.
The seed's been planted, hasn't it? You know, and even though they're trolling, the seed is planted. You know, it's more significantly, in fact, if they're trolling, because when they're lame, they've got idle time. Hey, when you've got idle time, what happens? You think
might as well do some research for that idle time.
Scratching their heads like, wait a minute, fucking hell. Sorry.
Hey, weren't there trolls under a bridge with some goats? Wasn't there a fairy tale about goats crossing a bridge and some damn trolls underneath? Yes, Astro.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't. I don't know a story about a troll on a bridge. What are you on about?
Rat-tat-tat.
Troll under a bridge while the goats are crossing. Metaphors. These little devious.
The goats?
What's that?
Was it goats? Or is it just like anyone who crosses the bridge has to deal with the trolls?
I thought it has something to do with goats, but yeah, man, I think it might have been that too. There's some metaphor there about just this thing waiting to, you know, mess with you. And when I was a child, there was a metaphor about this thing happening now. So it's funny how, yeah.
What's interesting is the goat symbol. All right, we should talk about the goats, because I've always been a big fan of goats, actually. And you know, I think the goat has gotten a bad rap as of late with Baphomet and all this, the goat, you know, the Luciferianism, Satanism, all that being associated with the goat. And, you know, I think that's completely misplaced symbolism. It's people not understanding the symbol of it. And, you know, actually, if you're saying that it's goats crossing the bridge, that's extremely symbolic. Because, you know, a bridge, of course, is going from one way of thinking to another way of thinking, right? And so how do you get there? You have to go past the trolls. You know, the trolls are going to try to bring you to, they're going to try to get you to turn around and go the other way in fear, right? So you have to be brave with the trolls. And who is brave? The goat is brave, because the goat is the one that goes, and they go on their own, and they are independent. They're probably one of the most independent animals, you know, and that's
are you also Capricorn, Aaron?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Capricorn.
Goat. Are you?
I'm not.
You know the word, the word Gothic? The word Gothic relates to goat. Goat and Gothic are the same word. It means God. So the Gothic people with the mascara, they're going to the land. And I have another funny thing. Your goatee Look at my goatee. It's an inverted. You see the pentagram? That's the face of Baphomet. It's in your goatee, right?
Oh wow. Yeah. And the goats have that too. A lot of times. They'll have that goatee.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're one with us. Yeah.
Yeah. All animals are symbolic. That's what I believe, and especially how they're used in ancient mythology and represented, and the characters or the archetypes that they represent. Is really what it's all about. And so, and then I'm seeing this massive, like speaking of trolls, right? I think a massive form of trolling is, even if it's unconscious, is when people will take a symbol that has maybe been pushed by propaganda, the propaganda experts, such as like the goat being this satanic entity, and they invert it, right? So what they do is they make this holy creature a devilish creature, basically. They did that with the cow as well, and there's the holy cow, or what's the French term? What is the French term?
For holy cow? I should know.
Yeah.
In Spanish, it's vaca, isn't it? In Spanish, is it vaca, cow, or something along the lines with that, maybe?
No, it's pretty funny actually. It's not even mean now. It'll come back to me. We'll move on.
There must be someone in the chat who can speak French, surely.
Yeah, but there's always a sacrificial bull too, right? There's always a sacrificial bull in every story.
Sacre bull.
Okay, there you
go. That's what it is. Sacred bull or sacred cow. Holy cow.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. Right.
And in India, of course, in Hinduism, the cow is the most holy of holies, as far as animals. And here we are in America. It's complete genocide of bulls. It's just like they're being slaughtered in mass, and then we're just consuming, beef, just like unhealthy scales.
Can I add to that about the cows? The biggest cause of CO2 here in Denmark, and it's a small country with like 6-7 million people. It's the cows,
right?
And methane from pigs and cows.
They need to pay carbon taxes.
But they're paying carbon taxes because people are eating bacon and they're eating beef and steaks. How wrong is that?
Have you all seen Cowspiracy on Netflix? Check it out, because what he just said, the cows, apparently their farts actually are creating the most pollution, because for some reason they're hurting them and torturing them, making land for them to migrate together, and they traumatize them, and they're farting and stressing, and there's so many of these things happening that it really is affecting.
I believe it. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that for many, many years, that cow farts were more polluting than all the cars and everything.
Yeah, it's the methane, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I heard, right, and this is you can check this fact up if it's true or not. If everyone was to eat a lifestyle like what we have, 3 meals a day with meat, we would need another Earth just to feed us.
Right.
If everyone was to have 3 meals a day based on meat, and this produce and what have you, we would need another Earth to do just that. That's incredible.
There might be another
Think
Earth
about that.
There's more land. We can go over there. Start cow farms.
Yeah. Well, when you go on tour, you're going on tourist fields. Now, the urine of the cow, they drink it in India because it cures cancer, and urine therapy is real. It is real. Sure. This shit is no joke. My hair is growing back. Telling you, man. It is. No, it's really powerful.
It is, yeah.
It's an elixir. Kung Fu is here.
Morning. How you doing?
Morning.
Good morning. Boker Tov, as I say in Hebrew.
Hello, Lev.
How are we all doing?
Good, thank you.
Fine, Lev. How are you?
Yeah, good.
I did a presentation earlier about Kung Fu, man, and it relates to karate, Kung Fu, and boxing, and the Earth is the cube, and It's all connected, man. Karate relates to where is it? Kuwait in etymology. Karate relates to Kuwait, Japan, and the Middle East, or the Islam people with the Buddhists. Whoa, ridiculous.
Yeah, all the connections are pretty interesting.
Karate used to be called something.
And these are this is kind of the information that everyone should be studying, and we should be having these kinds of discussions, you know. And this is the real work. Like, this is the real study. This is what the real university should be doing. Is we should be having these kinds of discourse, and also documenting all of this and moving forward in our understanding of, you know, the empirical world. But then there's all these, all this sort of negating energy out there because all of this and moving. Oh, I'm echoing. You know, because basically people, well, the powers that have been, they've controlled things for so long, and they've kind of turned everything upside down in the way that they have, and they've repressed us so much that, like, all the institutions that we have are completely under the quality, and they don't perform their function. Like, you know, education does not perform its function that it should. The whole reason why we would have an educational institution would be, you know, to actually wake people up and bring about a greater intelligence within the collective, you know, so that we can evolve rather than just these indoctrination systems, these you know, basically it's all memorization, you know, and then just blindly believing your authority. No one has ever learns how to actually investigate for themselves, how to think for themselves, how to have these kinds of conversations where it's not, you know, this isn't even a debate. This is just a discussion, you know. And if one of us doesn't agree with the other, there's not a problem. You know, there can be a greater depth of understanding possible for all of the parties involved. You know, and this is actually probably what was originally going on back in like ancient Greece and Alexandria. You know, as they were probably actually trying to create archives of all this ancient knowledge and wisdom, and how it's all related to nature and the natural world, and what are the natural laws, and how do we live by the natural laws. You know, and those are all things that were kind of intuitive for man to just come upon, and then start bringing into the world in organized fashion. But then you have the various other secret societies who decided, you know what? No, we don't want everyone to have this knowledge. We want to have it for ourselves, and only our families, and only our secret groups, where people, only the ones who prove themselves worthy in whatever their standard of worthiness is, will be able to have access to this knowledge. Problem is, you do that for even just a couple of generations, and now you've lost the essence of the original teachings. And then if you actively repress that pursuit and the wisdom teachings, then basically you're cutting off people's intuition and capability of going on these journeys themselves. And so here we are, we're just kind of almost like everyone's just completely dumbed down, including the secret societies that used to have access to this ancient wisdom and ability to manifest. Now they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to maintain control and power, you know. And they're doing so poorly at this point because the collective is waking up more and more and more exponentially every single day. You know, here we are, more awake than we were yesterday. There are more people who are awake today than yesterday, and there's only a limited number of people on Earth, and so that means that, like, we're growing closer and closer to a critical mass with a number of people who are actually awake. And I do not believe it is any specific number. It just has to do with the overall momentum. Is what I think.
Is that 100th monkey effect that you're talking about?
Basically, yeah. The 100th monkey effect is like the observation that this is a phenomenon. And so, yeah, it is a phenomenon. Like, you know, people, like, because the reality is we're all connected. We are not separate as we perceive with our physical senses. And so because of that truth, that we are fundamentally connected, we know each other's thoughts. We're all having fundamentally the same thoughts at certain levels. And so when a certain thought kind of boils up into the collective thought form, then yeah, everyone has it. And we always have access, but it might be under the conscious surface, which is really where flat Earth is right now. For example, I would say pretty confidently, I think that the entire world right now is aware at an unconscious level that the Earth is flat, or at least there's flat Earthers who are really starting to challenge this. But it's butting up close to that critical mass, where I mean, it's going to still take some time for sure, but I think there will be we will reach a point where it's just like it's obviously exponential, where now all of a sudden, boom, we've got every single YouTube channel is also going to have 5 times more subscribers.
Can I say something again? Yeah. it's like we're getting to a point, a sponge of saturation. That a sponge can only, it's saturated, and then I feel it's getting like that. And like you said, it's across all platforms, even BitTube, even DTube, even on Steam or whatever. It's getting spread. And once you realize what it is about, once you go flat, you can't go back. Once you see all the deception that we've had, you can't unsee it. So it's only a good progression. It can only progress, and it can only be revealed. Eventually, the truth will be revealed. Mm-hmm. Gosh, only happen now.
You can't go back, can you? You just can't go back.
What was that, Karen?
No.
You can't go back.
No, I mean, that's the red pill, right? You've seen the Matrix for what it really is, and so now what do? You can't really go back and pretend like things are the way they were, but also you realize how much the real world kind of sucks, and you have to be wary of the sentinels, aka trolls, and you have to and you can make the choice to, I think everyone is kind of presented with a choice too. It's like, okay, you've come to this information. Let's say that the Earth is flat, or at least that NASA is lying. And they didn't land on the moon, something like that. Now, what do? Are you going to just go on with your life? Continue with your 9 to 5? Are you going to share this information with anybody? Are you going to even just talk about it, like, introspectively, trying to figure out maybe a deeper answers, or are you just going to hold it inside and just kind of know that this, or maybe you just have an online, you're just like viewing comment threads online, or maybe participating, or maybe you're actually getting out there and doing things. There are people who are going out and actually just talking to random people on the street and filming it. Who's the guy in Authentic Intent? He's doing that all the time now. I love it. It's just, he's so great because he just goes up, he just has, I mean, just the fact that he's doing it and he's getting out there and he's talking to people, and there's a number of others who are doing that. I might not agree with everything, all their opinion, but it doesn't matter, because what they're doing is they're just planting the seeds. And even just showing a video of planting seeds is planting even more seeds, exponentially more. Because it's getting out there that, oh, wow, look at this guy. He's just going up to random people. He must be confident that the Earth is flat. He must be confident in his beliefs. And that's something that this kind of action shows. But my original point was that, it's like a choice of what you do. And if you choose to not really do anything about it, then have you really taken the red pill? You're just kicking back. Like you still have the thing plugged. You're still plugging it in every day. You're just like, but you took the red pill. That you could just unplug it at any point, and you'd be in the real world, and then you'd have to face it. And that's the hard part, and it is hard. I have a lot of empathy towards how hard it is. I mean, I had a really hard time, even though I've been a major conspiracy theorist most of my life. I still had a hard time with the flat Earth, and the reason is because I didn't want to believe that we were lied to at this scale. I didn't want to believe that it was this scale of a deception. I didn't want to believe that. And so that was, I wouldn't say it was biasing my opinion, but it was the hurdle I had to get over to really accept it. And the way I got over that was through research, doing my own research. I wasn't just watching YouTube videos. I was breaking out my old astronomy and physics books, and I was studying them. I was studying the math that they're using and trying to understand, because I studied this stuff in depth for many, many years. And so to even suggest that like all the physics that I was studying was kind of off, well, that was a big one for me. I mean, I was obsessed with Einstein and relativity. Obsessed with it. I was studying that stuff. I was, there's the whole elevator through the Earth experiment. I read a whole book on that once. I was just studying, like, here's a hypothetical experiment where you put an elevator shaft through the Earth, and what's going to happen is, it's going to go down, and it's going to speed up until it gets past the core of the Earth, and then it's going to slow down until it gets to the other side, and then you're going to be upside down, and then it's going to do the opposite. And this is a whole thing. I forget exactly. It's called the yeah.
I have a question. That's an Einstein thing?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he came up with the experiment, but it's called like yeah, no, it's really a thing. It's the elevator. What is it called? Like a relativity elevator experiment or something.
You just gave me.
He was a notorious daydreamer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was very notorious.
May I say one quick thing about the elevator thing that's really interesting? Because Prince had a song called "Don't Let the Elevator Break Us Down," and the elevator relates to Satan because it's L. L is Saturn or Satan. These Freemasons, man, we have to get hip to these words because they all dance together.
Well, and it's a tool for moving up and down through the different levels of a building, right? Interesting. Right. A vehicle, a tunnel, a channel.
Yeah.
A conduit.
Yeah. Con in Vietnamese means serpent.
Oh, wow. See?
And you know what? Sauron, the Sauron god in Lord of the Rings comes from Syrian and it means reptile. That's all I'm going to say.
What was that word that meant serpent?
Con?
Yeah, and then you've got anaconda.
Anaconda.
Anunnaki.
Good one, Astral. Yeah, right. That's an obvious one. I didn't see that one. Good man.
I hadn't seen that before, but the anaconda, Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many connections. Yeah, and so this is because they were sitting around having these kinds of conversations, creating the English language, probably. With their compass and square.
Sat around the old campfire with the guitars out, probably,
Planning a little world domination, Good old fun, good old boy fun.
Yeah. Hey, if you can't
Aaron.
beat them.
May I chat with you about the education system, seeing how, we're Americans, right? So you're talking about how the education system. I read Anthony C. Sutton's Order of Skull and Bones.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting. Oh, yeah. Read that book. I recommend it. Anthony C. Sutton, Sutton. Very good book. Very simple to read. John Dewey, the Dewey system, he learned from Wilhelm Wundt, who was a German psychologist who believed that man had no will and was an animal, Darwinism. He brought that back to America, and he restructured the education system based on the Look-Say program designed for deaf mutes. Fact, which is why when we're learning today, right, in the beginning stages, you're being given the opposite. Nothing wrong with being deaf and mute, but if you're not given the right thing for what your consciousness is, then you will be backwards, right? And that's messed up, man. That's messed. How many people go to school? You know what I mean? They don't know the history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, that is really interesting because, that makes a lot of sense. Because what are all the students nowadays? They're pretty much, deaf and mute. To the truth, you could say, right? Like they can't see the truth. They cannot perceive the truth. Instead, it's like, because all the education happens in this container, in this bubble where, it's like you might as well be deaf and mute because you're not using any reasoning faculty. You're not using, it's kind of like the monkeys that are doing, see no evil, hear no evil, right? It's kind of like, everyone's just going through life. At this point, you have to, it's like what I was just saying, if you are aware, then you have to know that basically, if you're continuing on with the path that you were on with that current awareness, then you are lying to yourself. You're being dishonest with yourself. right? And so you have to kind of just be holding your ears, your hands like that, so that you are not hearing the truth that is being presented, you know. And once you wake up enough, you start realizing, oh wow, everything is an expression of truth. You know, every single thing, every single experience, all that is manifest is technically just an expression of truth. You know.
You know, can I just say something? Talking about education and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how to compare the American education with the British education because I haven't been to school in America.
I didn't really go either.
I have kind of, but it was for
Probably
a
same animal.
job. It was for a job, but yeah. Skipping that point, the education system in England is so we're indoctrinated because it's kind of like look, listen, copy, remember. That's all it is. Just fucking read this book, absorb as much as you can out of it, copy it, write it down, remember it, because that is that. And that, you know, I mean, if you think about it, that is so, I'm sorry to say, but it's so anal, right? That's just so wrong. Yeah. I mean, we are like, we're humans. We need to learn things. We're here to learn things. We have higher dimensions. We have much more about us than it's just flesh and bones and blood and gore, you know?
Yeah,
we
feelings.
are so much more.
That's awesome, man.
I'll stop.
There's so much power, information.
Feelings.
Yes, we do.
Well, let me ask you guys this. When you were younger, did you notice these things about like the academic institution? Did you notice that they're just feeding us, like we're just supposed to memorize everything and not really think for ourselves?
I was a special ed student, and I was slow, right? They called me slow, and I was very hyperactive. So they wanted to put me on Ritalin. They wanted to medicate me, and so of course I'm now being tutored. Tutored is an anagram for Taurus, by the way, very cute. Anyhow, so I'm being tutored by this angry person now. So I'm trying to get through my word problems, and I can't figure it out. And the frustration on her face, my tutor, and she'd be pulling on her hair, and she'd be, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make me feel, you know, like you're helping me. It makes me feel like you're just trying to get paid. You're angry. You want me to get it, copy and paste, and kick me out. You know, like what Astral said, and what Karen just said, like we're human beings, we have feelings, and your body language, the tone of your voice matters. In my university, Iowa, I teach dance, and I always encourage them. I say, hey, can someone please stand where I am and show us the next step that you want to do? Because I know that you all know what you're doing now, because I give them material, right? I shit you not, they're all afraid still. It's week 8, and they're all like this. Because they're afraid to be wrong. They're afraid to not be perfect, right? And get that A for mommy and daddy. And then eventually someone will come through and do it, and it changes the room, right? Everyone's like, wow, a teacher's giving us power. Simple.
Yeah, you know, we always had like, you know, a favorite teacher or favorite teachers, you know, I had, you know, and whether it's something to do with what we're learning, the things we're interested in, or just the method that they taught us in. I don't know. But I feel I've always had like, I had a good connection with the English language, with my English teachers, all of them. When I first learned how to do the alphabet or to write and, you know, how to read, and I was so young. I remember being so young, and it was like, when I'd done it, I was thinking, well, this is easy, you know. It was, I don't know. I'm going back quite a few years now. I'm 107, remember? But we had favorite teachers. We had good subjects, and it's like, is it because we had a connection with them? You know, like on a you know, we're talking about like a conscious level. We've been talking about consciousness for quite a while now, you know, and I'm aware of my consciousness, you know, when I'm awake, when I'm walking, or even if I'm laying on my bed with my eyes shut, I'm awake. I'm conscious of what I'm doing, you know, in that sense. I think it's important that we do things like that. Thinking back to school, we'd go into the hall, maybe 30 kids, and we'd crawl up into a ball. I can remember the teacher saying, right, crawl up into a ball. Now you're a little seed, and I want you to grow, you know. And we used to kind of like do this like stretching exercise, you know. We've probably all done it in kindergarten, like, you know. Think back. So I think back to these times when I was like, you know, in school, and it was like, how we're learning then. What were we learning back then that we're not learning today? It's all like faded away. It's totally dissolved. That education I had when I was a little kid, I loved it. You know, I thought it was so exciting. It was like so giving. We learned, you know, I'd go home happy and smiling. And kids today, I remember when I was at school, my last years of school, I hated it, you know. And it was not because I hated the education or the learning aspect of it. It was the kids I hated. You know, attitudes changed. We had respect when I started school. When I left school, kids were threatening the teachers, you know, with violence. And I mean, it was crazy, man. Yeah. Times changed so badly. So badly.
And the reason I'm you know, bringing this up or asking about that is because, you know, I think a lot of us, we had various red flags when we were growing up about the educational system that it just didn't feel right. You know, and maybe, you know, of course, we don't have anything to compare it to at that age. But I know personally, I was extremely resistant to school. I don't know, maybe as far back as like kindergarten or first grade. Well, actually, what's funny was in kindergarten, I made a picture. They asked us to make to draw a picture of our school, and I still have this picture somewhere in my mom's house. And I made a picture of the school surrounded in barbed wire. And it was basically, I was likening it to a prison in kindergarten, you know? So I already knew somehow that school was like a prison, you know? And and I always definitely saw that. And, you know, I hated school. I mean, I did try to go to college. You know, I went for a few years. And that's where I really just decided, okay, you know, these guys are the lunatics. Because by that point in college, you know, I had come to the point where I had done so much self-study, where I had studied both like on my own many different topics like physics and music and various things, but then also I had studied metaphysics. I had been studying meditation and doing yoga and tai chi, and you know, I had been having various revelations internally, trying to go back to college in that setting. It is like, okay, you've taken the red pill, now go back to your 9-to-5 job, you know? It's even worse maybe because, you know, school is just like, it's the epitome of just blindly follow your authority and just regurgitate, you know, like you're saying, yeah, maybe earlier on in school, it's a little more supportive of like free thinking and kids just, you know, having fun, getting to know themselves or whatnot. But then you get to a certain age where now you're getting the math and English homework, all the history, you have to memorize all these random dates and what supposedly happened on those dates, you know, according to his story. And then, you know, you move along and it gets worse and worse to the point where now you're in PhD, master's level universities, and your ego is so built upon all of these years of education that it would be, you know, impossible almost for you to like not even finish this educational system. You know, I just read a stat that like students now, college students, are officially in more debt than the entire cost of the Iraq War. So over $1.1 trillion of student debt in the U.S. alone, by the way, in the U.S. alone. God. Just the U.S., right. And of course there aren't the jobs. Yeah. Of course there aren't the jobs to pay those loans back. So, you know, it's all debt slavery. You know, it's a massive system of debt slavery. And essentially they're enforcing it by this whole subservience to authority. You know, in every walk of life, there's a subservience to authority. And who is your authority in college? It's the professors. Who is the authority in government? It's the, you know, local congressman, senator. It's the president of the nation, or it's the you know, whatever leader of whatever country you're in. You know, these are the proclaimed authorities, And the ironic part here is that's all a farce. It's all based on just hot air. There is absolutely no real substance to any of these authority figures being an authority. Like in reality, like nature did not command, oh, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson is the official greatest astronomer of all history, so we should all listen to him and everything he says, you know? And even if we did, we know that, you know, physicists, astronomers have no idea what gravity is, right? So, like, logically, reasonably, everyone should question, like, well, does Neil deGrasse Tyson really know? If he doesn't know, if he says on public television, you know, that he doesn't know what gravity is, no one knows what gravity is, then how can he also go and use gravity as a proof that we're on a spinning ball? You know, somehow, like this completely lack of reasoning, and anyone really should be able to see that, but no one has a reasoning faculty anymore. You know, hardly anyone. You know, it's the ones who have awakened who kind of get it back and can start working that muscle again. And then once you have it for a while, like years and decades, then now you can start reasoning to the degree and level that people, you know, like the ancient philosophers were, where they were really, you know, perhaps meditating on things and discussing these things and trying to explore the reality in which we find ourselves. You know, they weren't just basing everything off of some previous guy that supposedly found the answer. You know, that's not smart. That's not reasonable. So, and there's massive, like, attacks as well on the educational structure, like this whole thing, if you guys have heard, the California trying to pass this bill that basically would make it child abuse to homeschool your children. Yeah, this is crazy. And now, Hawaii is jumping in too. So now Hawaii and California are both trying to do this.
Can I say something based on this as well, right? About education and what have you, right? They're trying to instill fear. They're trying to instill fear.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's for example, right, over here now, I live in Denmark, right? There's something now that's just coming on the boards. They've had it in England for a while, I do believe. If you don't have your child in school, you'll get fined for it. Mm-hmm. If you do not have if your child is like absent from school, you'll pay the bill. They'll give you a bill.
Wow.
Now, how crazy is that? I mean, we are totally losing our society. People are, and they're just like, well, yeah, well, that's the way it is. I mean, they really need to wake up, you know, and say, what are you talking about? I'm not having that. No way, you know. Tell your neighbors and talk to all the other parents and say, we're not having that shit. You can forget about it. We're not having it. Simple as that. And if everyone stands together and agrees, you know, I mean, really keep it simple.
Isn't this where Project Lumen comes in?
I think so, yeah. I mean, absolutely, I would say. You know, the overall philosophy with Project Lumen is to create solutions. And so, yeah, you know, it is a matter of kind of boycotting certain ideas, like saying, no, we're not going to do that. At the same time, that can get us in trouble in this current society in various places. You know, if ultimately they say that homeschooling is child abuse, then, I mean, if we get to that point, first of all, I'm concerned. But, you know, if we got to that point, then, you know, you might have to send your kids to public school just so that they don't end up in jail or you don't end up in jail, right? Because we might have to play ball with some of the current regulations. But overall, us creating our own solutions is the solution. So, for example, you know, for education, all right, here's one thought I had was, okay, we make Project Lumen a church. It's a religion, okay? Everyone who's a part of it. Now, part of this religion, part of our religious practice is that we homeschool our children. So therefore, government cannot say jack diddly about it. It cannot interfere with our religious practice. We're not in any way physically or emotionally abusing. We can show many times in which all the children going to public schools are very abused physically and emotionally. But, you know, us having our own sort of internal structure where it's like we're protected by our freedom of religion, for example.
That it is one of the. I can't say it's a loophole, but it is one of the methods of use that people do use, isn't it? That they call it like a free church or whatever, something church.
Church of Scientology. Look at those guys. Those guys aren't.
It's a hairy bikers club, you know. They call it a hairy bikers club church or whatever, you know. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. In essence, it's a club.
May I chime in on the education in children? I know that in Australia, Santos was sharing things about children, sexual abuse and sexual information. Children are being given heavy sexual information in school, and they're bringing in, I have nothing against homosexuals, because I'm a dancer and I'm sensitive to that, but they're actually bringing in drag queens and influencing children, and it's all about sexualization. Molestation now, they're trying to legalize it in England, apparently. I've heard that shit, that it's okay now to be a pedophile. Like, yeah, they're humans too. So everything is about tenderizing so that these people can hurt and constantly inflict their ignorance in many, many ways.
It's already so bad, and they're just trying to make it worse. They're trying to make it the dominant thought, you know? They're trying to make it okay, and everyone's desensitized to this concept. You know, it's just what you do is you emotionally abuse children, at least. I mean, that's pretty much where our society is at. Is every child is emotionally traumatized by the time they're, I don't even know how, I mean, pretty young at this point, you know, and it just gets worse and worse.
You only have to see what's on the TV, you know, and the adverts that they're running and the posters that you see around and about, you know, how they are conditioning society. Because we pay attention to that shit. Most people, they absorb that shit, you know, and then take notes and, oh, I need to buy that dress, or I need to buy that ice cream, whatever, you know.
Flamethrower.
They absorb it totally. It's like magnetism to them, you know, where we see them with like, oh my goodness, again on the side of buses, you know. It is that we've got them glasses on. They live. Sorry, Aaron.
The Roddy Piper glasses, Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, this is one of those things where, first of all, like, the children are what become the adults, and they become the future, essentially. So that's why they are attacking the children in this way. But it's also why we should be providing these solutions and alternatives to the children as soon as possible, really, you know, and just very actively working towards that, where, you know, what do we need to do to make Project Lumen a church? What do we need to do to, you know, protect our rights on a world scale? Because I think a big part of the issue here is that because all of these national borders, these countries' borders, and all of these statutes and regulations they're all imaginary. They're all I don't want to say not really fraudulent. They're it's a con. It's a giant con. You know, it's basically they have been able to get away with it. It's like the woman who's in the abusive relationship, or the man who's in the abusive relationship, you know, and doesn't want to get out of it for whatever reason, right? It's that kind of Stockholm syndrome where they're just, you know, they're attached to, maybe they get something out of that emotional or physical abuse. Or that relationship, and so they're willing to put up with it, and that's pretty much what the entire population of the world is doing right now. That's getting abused, and we're putting up with it.
That's a very good analogy, that, actually, when you think about it. Yeah, everyone's asleep still, but yeah.
And what's the?
They know about it, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most people, like I said, most people are aware of these things. Most people are aware that they're at least out there. There's people that don't believe that we landed on the moon. There's people that believe that there's, you know, all the pedophilia talk. There's a lot of rumors going around that there's all these pedophilia rings everywhere. You know, just in L.A. last week, right, the night before the Oscars, this last Sunday, someone had gone around and all the Academy Awards billboards, they covered them with their own label, and it said. The Oscar for the biggest pedophile goes to ... And so they're just exposing. And then there was someone who created an actual gold-looking statue of Harvey Weinstein on the casting couch with his legs like spread out. He's just like,
yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it, Aaron? people need to know about all the stuff that is actually going on, especially in America, especially, you know, well, not just America, but I mean, it's happening all over in everyone's lands, I'm sure. They need to be aware of what is really going on, because the TV, that is just puppetry, total puppetry in motion. They get told what to say, and it's all for a reason. So get your real news elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron mentioned astronomers. In Immanuel Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision, he talks about Copernicus and Sir Isaac Newton denied the Venus star from falling. So what that does is it gives Einstein a reason to get rid of your ether. He denied that and said it wasn't real. There's no fifth fucking element. Part of my language, I get angry about it because it's about the goddess. Our women are not being given their opportunity to show their true selves. And I have a lot of little girls I teach ballet to that come in and they have no clue what their symbols are. I can see it right away. And so I get that out the way. I say, listen, you have a solar plexus. What has solar power? Oh, the sun. So we're done. Astrology right there. It's in you. And now we get it. And now they're riding with me and we're all full of light. And it's very easy, you know? It's very easy. And children are very smart when you give them stuff like that, because it's in your body. It's your right to know what you are worth. Ether is real. Ether is what makes everything move, you know?
Oh yeah, and that's the debate really that ended up, you know, with Nicholas and Morley deciding, oh yeah, the Earth is moving. You know, the Earth is moving. We just can't measure it because of theory of relativity. Give me a break. You know, that's just so far from logical.
Yeah, but that's also another thing. All these theories, they're all just theories, and
exactly.
You know,
well,
even though it's even though it's still
theory.
Even though it's still a theory or whatever, or they're debunked even, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not even theories. They were hypotheses that were debunked.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is this: most people believe still those theories. They believe that, and it's fact. They believe that the theories are facts. You know, I'm like, what are you on about? It's not even been proved yet, mate. Yeah, it has. NASA proved it. Did they? Yeah. Flatting hell prove it. They haven't done it.
What they proved is that if they can, if they have textbooks that say it, and then they have authority figures that teach it, that people will believe it.
That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do as well, isn't it? Every time you get a new edition, new printing, get old books, get the old books and save them.
They've definitely proven their theories of propaganda work. You know, people will believe just about anything.
Yeah.
Wrap it in a nice fancy bow. Yeah. What's the other thing I was gonna say with that? Shoot, just lost my train of thought. Well, I could do an update because I guess I did that last week. On like just what I'm working on and how it does relate to all this stuff. You know, because I've been seeing these problems for quite a long time, and that's why I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time, where I've been learning the various technologies, trying to understand the real core of these various problems, and then find solutions that could actually help solve them. And so that really is Project Lumen. You know, in my mind, in my heart, that is Project Lumen. It is this initiative to essentially give the world solutions to these giant problems, and in these alternatives, give alternatives so that now instead of having to just bend our will and serve, you know, these debt masters, we have another alternative. You know, and for example, money. You know, central banks, massive problem. How do we solve that? Decentralized banks. What is a decentralized bank? Ideally, it's a cryptocurrency. You know, Bitcoin is kind of an example of a decentralized bank, but there could be improvements. It's not fully decentralized in my opinion, and nothing is fully decentralized in my opinion. So that's why I'm building Ironcoin. Ironcoin is a solution to this problem. It's a fully decentralized currency product platform that basically would enable us to have free transactions. So be able to transact a currency where there's no fee involved, there's no middleman at all, to be able to transact all kinds of different sorts of currencies in that same way, digitally, of course, and then to be able to have your own storage of this currency where no one else could possibly access it. So you have your own digital vault that has access to these digital assets, and the way you have that is through even yourself. Your unique human identity is what actually gives you access to only your vault, and no one else can access your vault because they're not you as an actual human being, because human beings all have unique characteristics. And so this is all, I'm building all of this kind of into this framework, this iron framework, that then you could say is one of the main initiatives of Project Lumen, but it's also going to be the sort of foundation of everything else is going to be built on this technology. And it's going to allow for us to have a social network, a social media platform that is truly decentralized and censorship-free. I question Steemit, which therefore I question DTube and DLive. I question, of course, Facebook and YouTube are all very corrupt. And then there's, I hadn't heard someone was saying about BitChute maybe is corrupt too. I hadn't heard that yet, but not surprised. And the main problem with this is who's behind these companies, right? So
sorry, what about Gab? Do you know about Gab? Is that any good, or is that corrupted as well?
Yeah, I messed around with that a little bit. I think it looked all right. It's just kind of a communications thing. I mean, there's like Discord too. Discord is supposed to be end-to-end encrypted, supposed to be decentralized in that way, or it's at least, supposedly they can't access our private conversations, supposedly. It's kind of hard to verify that. Yes, Jay.
No, I want to ride with you on that. I don't know anything about Bitcoin, and I would love, if you can, at some point, if you could send me a link or something to recommend. I want to try to get into that. So if you could, yeah, I'm really trying to catch on board. I'd appreciate it.
If you're sending stuff, you can just send me a load of Bitcoin. And I'm into it then.
Honestly, I don't really have any Bitcoin right now.
Okay.
I mean, that's not, there's a number of reasons for that. Mostly because I'm broke.
Me too?
Yeah. But, honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I'm not just trying to do a sales pitch here. I do really mean this genuinely. That I would say what I'm working on, Iron Coin, which is available now. I do have a wallet where you can buy it, you can store it in the wallet, totally yours to hold on to. You want to save your private key because if you lose that, you lose access to your wallet. That's how these cryptocurrencies work. I'm actually about to come out with an upgrade here, an update to this. But you can get some Iron Coin now. And actually, up until I come out with the update, it's pretty cheap right now. Let's just say that. And I honestly think I would recommend it as a better investment at this point, because you're getting in extremely early to something that has great potential. Like for example, there were people who bought Bitcoin at a few cents. There's people, I found it when it was $1. Unfortunately, I didn't have any money then either. But I would have gotten a number of them. But it's now over $10,000 or wherever. So it went up from a penny to $10,000. And so think about it. And that's, if you got in early to Bitcoin, you made a massive gain all along the way. And that's cool. That's neat. That's a neat property of cryptocurrencies that's been happening and will continue to happen, where people are able to get in early at ground floor with certain coins and projects, and then the value of those coins get traded in the markets, and then that might push the value up, and then you can sell it at a higher price, and you made kind of that. Now you do technically, if you're in the U.S. at least, you're supposed to pay taxes on that if you transfer it back to fiat. But there's not really much regulation. I wouldn't worry too much about that at this point. And actually Iron Coin and the whole framework is going to help with some of that stuff. Just making sure that everyone's, following the regulation of their area, if there is any. there's not really much regulation in the crypto world right now. But this is just ideally a cryptocurrency is a means of transaction, similar to like the cash or various types of currencies. Now it's not recognized as a currency in most places, but it's usable as a currency. And then
how do you so how do you spend it? Like, so if you so if you do make the money, right? Is there a way? Let's say I got 10 grand, like you said, right? Like, can I then buy something with it, or that's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, most cryptos, it depends on which crypto it is. Now, if it's too new, like Ironcoin's still pretty new at this point, where you couldn't go and buy things with Ironcoin right now. But that's actually coming soon. That's going to be part of what I'm launching here is e-commerce platform where people will be able to buy and sell things with a bunch of different cryptos, including Ironcoin. And then there's other ways too. So you can buy a number of different things with Bitcoin or Ethereum. And then I have a Visa card that actually lets me spend Bitcoin directly. So the moment I buy something with that Visa card, it's converting it from the current price of Bitcoin to USD.
That's funny you should mention. I was just about to ask there. When is the time when you can use it on a card, or when will a
it's already now, yeah.
card come out? Like,
there's Shift Payments is one of them, and then there's BitPay is another one. So those two companies, you can get your cards from them, and yeah, you can spend Bitcoin anywhere where you can use a credit card, as well as online, and so. And you can get cash back too, so that's pretty nice. I go and get cash back for mine. So I can kind of, basically I'm cashing out from Bitcoin to cash without incurring any fee whatsoever, which is pretty neat. That's kind of hard to do in the crypto world. But it's doable right now. So I'm living proof of that, right? But also what I'm building is even taking that to the next level, because I recognized a while ago that one of the main problems, or the main problem with cryptocurrencies is accessibility. It's what you're talking about, Jay. It's like, how do you use it? Can you use it? How do I even get involved? It is kind of complicated. Even my current wallet, it's pretty simple overall. You just go to like ironwallet.org. You could just sign in there, and you can, then. And if anyone sends me their address, I will send free flat Earth coin. But the Iron coin, I send based on contributions, basically. Because that's what's funding this thing, basically, you might say. It's funding Project Lumen, it's funding me building all this stuff. And I am going to be fully transparent with it all, in the sense that, I'll be publishing all my expenses and everything that all this money is going to, and then everyone who has been contributing, or at least the amounts that are being contributed and everything. Because that's part of what I'm doing that's really unique here, is you guys might not know as much about cryptocurrencies, and that's okay, because that's part of what I'm doing. Is I'm bringing this to a lot of people who have not encountered it before, because we need it now. It's like, one of the main sources of all our problems are these centralized banks. So here's our workaround. Here's our alternative, and seemingly we're able to get away with it right now. Okay, and they can't really stop it either. It's kind of like BitTorrent. They would love to stop BitTorrent. They stopped Napster. They can't really stop BitTorrent. They would love to. They try, but they can't. It's the same thing, only even harder. It's harder to stop Bitcoin. No one has ever hacked Bitcoin. As far as I know, no one has ever hacked the technology behind the blockchain technology. And so, people have hacked websites, and which brings me to really what I'm doing that's more unique here. Maybe I need to explain a little bit about products and product development. So most people probably think like a product is like a thing. It's like a thing you can go buy in a store or online. Well, in the digital world, a product is often a website or a web application or an application in general that users use. Users use it for some functionality. It's a product. And this is a whole world where it's product development or product management. And And like what we're using right now, we're using Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is a product. It's a Google product. Google has many products. Hangouts is one of them, right? So and the reason it's a product is because it had to be built. It didn't just poof out of thin air, or even just out of the imagination. Someone just transferred their imagination directly to the computer. That would be really nice. But that does not exist unless you're Stephen Hawking, of course. So then, we have to basically build it ourselves. It's like a house. A house doesn't just pop up. You see the people out there every day building the house. They get further and further along, and then eventually there's a finished product. And that usually takes many, many men to build, and certain amounts of time. Well, the same is with the same is true with a digital product. And this is what I've been doing for decades now, is building digital products. And I've been around the ringer, been through the ringer with, through working with corporations, working as a freelancer, working with various startups, various roles in startups, building the technology, but also doing business size, business plans and marketing, sales, and just everything. You name it, I've been involved in it. And various corporations that I've also been involved in, and I've seen how product development happens in the real world. And I'll tell you, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's basically like no one knows what they're doing, because there's no university or school to really learn to be a product developer. You could go to school, maybe learn to be a coder, but that doesn't mean you know how to build user interfaces. You might go to a school, or at least maybe study a little bit of user interface, UI, UX, user experience kind of stuff, where you're designing. Okay, what does this product look like? There's certain buttons, and those buttons are certain colors, and they change, and there's certain information that is shown on the screen at different times. All of that has to be figured out. Okay, so it's a lot of work that actually goes into these things. How it's done is also it's a very kind of archaic system. It's very outdated. Generally, there's methodologies. There's like the waterfall methodology, which is basically just you start with a basic vision of what you're trying to build, and then you just take steps till you get to the end result, right? And then there's agile methodology, which is more like, okay, here's overall the main features we want, and we might have, a few people working on these, and then we're building like closer and closer versions, but we're having like finished products all along the way, and then eventually we get to a really, really nice finished product. And then we're still continuing to develop and improve upon, and that's more of a modern way to develop, but it's also become a buzzword that just like, people use, and they don't necessarily know what it means. Agile software development. If you ever hear that, just, well, what's that mean to you? They probably won't know what that means. It's like, because there's all these talkers. So in all the world, there's really two types of people. There's the talkers, and there's the walkers. There's the ones who actually do the work, and then there's the ones who talk about it. And usually the ones who are talking about it are pretty good at making it seem like they know what they're talking about, or even making it seem like they could walk the walk if they had to, which is more than likely not true. It's more likely they're just blowing hot air, and they cannot actually implement what they're talking about. They don't even understand what they're talking about. They just understand enough to be able to use the words and perhaps respond to questions from other people who, guess what? They don't know what they're talking about either. And you have a whole board of directors, a whole table full of people. No one knows what they're doing, and they don't want to admit it. No one wants to admit it to the other ones, because they'll lose their job. So instead, they'll just get paid double the salaries of all the underlings who are actually doing the work, to basically just every day spend hours in these meetings where everyone's just pretending like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they have to have a meeting to have another meeting to have another meeting to have another.
Schedule the meeting. We need to have a meeting to schedule that next meeting. Yeah, like it's just so ridiculous, and that's all they do, and they get paid insanely for it.
Yeah, I saw like a small cartoon drawing, And it was of people, you know, you've got the boss, and then you've got the underboss, and then under the boss of the underboss, you've got like 3 secretaries,
Right.
and then you've got an assistant. And it was like, and at the end of the day, who gets fired? Fires like Anders or whatever, you know, the guy who's they're pointing down at some poor bloke on the floor who's the only one who's doing the actual work, you know?
Yeah. You know, and those guys, and it's a sad situation because it's like, the ones who know how to do the work, I mean, they're the ones that obviously, like, they have the value, right? Because they have the skill. The skill is valuable. And then they're the ones that know, like, okay, we have a problem here. We need to solve it. So who's going to know how to solve it? It's the ones who have the skill, who have the experience. Those are the ones that are going to know how to properly solve a problem related to whatever they're working on. But pretty much all the time, what actually happens is these executives, they make an executive decision, not really consulting with the ones who know how to actually solve the problem or what would be best in this scenario. And then they'll say, okay, we made this decision. And then the doers are like, well, I don't know if we should do that. You know, and then they'll get reprimanded for questioning the authority. But then, you know, time goes by, the doers implement whatever solution that the execs told them to, because they want to keep their job and they want to get paid. Probably the only reason they're there is to get that paycheck because they're not being treated fairly. But then, you know, time goes by and then a problem arises from the solution that was suggested by the execs. And yes, the doer, the one who even suggested the original, a working solution and suggested against the one that they went with, is the one who's going to get fired or yelled at, reprimanded, whatever. He's going to be blamed. You know, he's going to be thrown under the bus. And this has happened to me. It's happened to many others. I've seen it happen. It's crazy. It's especially when you're in the middle of it and you're just like, are you serious? Like, I warned you, and I had a solution that would have solved that problem, and now you're reprimanding me or yelling at me, you know, because it happened, because what I said was going to happen did happen, and that's how they operate, you know, because they, and so that's a huge. Obviously, I mean, a lot of us have had these kinds of roles and experiences, and it's obviously a huge problem. But I'm also explaining how this is in terms of the products that we all use. Like, for example, Amazon, you know, go to Amazon.com. That's a massive product. Google, all of Google's things, like search engine is a product, YouTube is a product, Hangouts is a separate product. These are all products. And they're probably all built under the same idiocracy. And so that's why Hangout has so many problems. That's why Facebook has so many problems. I mean, Facebook is the worst piece of software I've ever seen. And I'm not even exaggerating. And it's literally like, you know, how big is it? It's one of the biggest things. And like, why would they build it so poorly? Well, because maybe Mark Zuckerberg didn't know what he was doing, and then he hired a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. You know,
it's all CIA operated, isn't it? It's run by the CIA, that and Google.
CIA, they don't know.
To be aware of that.
Or they're holding back from us on purpose. You know, Google, I would imagine, has some sort of project management solution that they use internally to develop these products. Have we ever seen that? Have we ever gotten anything from Google that allowed us to manage projects, so that we could be maybe a little more organized in our lives? Maybe so we could have groups that were more organized? No, of course not. They don't want us to have organization. They want us to be distracted by YouTube ads and you know, all the ads on the search engine, ads everywhere, Gmail, you name it. You know, there's ads everywhere.
It's a giant data mine, isn't it?
I can't stand those ads. I teach ballet class. I'm trying to play the damn music, and they're selling you this, they're cutting my shit off, and then the children get distracted and stuff, man. But I wanted to chime in about what you just said about the power structures being ignorant. Like, even here, the chair of the dance department, she told my colleague today, actually, he said to me that she said to him, oh, I don't know anything about art and creativity at dance. Basically, she's supposed to help him with his thesis or something. And she's telling him, oh, I don't know much about creativity, and I'm not very creative. So I'm like, okay, so if you're the boss and you don't know that thing, how the hell did you get there, right? Now she's in a position. And then when I wanted to go to the dean last year over a grade dispute, because I was being treated like, you know, bang, bang, little pyramid builder, get my coffee. It was like she didn't want to, you know, give me any justice. There was no support. Like, I'm not going to help you change your grade. It was like, I can't do that. So I went to the dean. The dean has plants in her office. And I said, your cortex means bark of tree. This dean tells me this. Oh, the cortex is in your brain, right? Like, right? I'm like, dude, like, come on. There's nothing like, I mean, I'm compassionate to that. I have empathy, but I was like,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be empathetic to the ignorant, right? Because they're ignorant, they don't know, right? Like they're in that blissful state of unknowing.
she has a big job. Like, I mean, I don't understand. Like, how? What a hustle that must be, right?
You might be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, like, they have the, have you heard of this, what is it, the Eastern Star, the female version of Freemasonry? They have one down the street here. It's an inverted pentagram. Yeah.
Oh, no.
The good one, yeah.
Inverted pentagram, that's what that symbolizes?
Yeah, the Eastern Star.
There's a building.
Yeah.
There's a building right down the street from me that has an inverted pentagram right on the doorway. And I'm like, and there's no sign. There's nothing. That's interesting. What's it called?
It's called the Eastern Star.
Eastern Star.
Eastern Star. Yeah, it's the female version of Freemasonry, and these are the daughters of some god that had to sacrifice someone and kill them, and they all have to worship this angry god. It's the same thing, and they hide in secrecy. And I'm pretty sure there has to be a handful of people here who go to those meetings. And what's funny, Aaron, is that the building that has a symbol of the inverted pentagram has the Scottish Rite and the York Rite, all the Masonic lodges are all in that one building. Right beside it is a church.
I'll be.
And I filmed it one day, thinking to myself, right? Like, you know how Christians get mad about Satanism and raw and homosexuality and evil?
Jay, where is this?
Sorry, this is Iowa City. Yes, sir.
What's the church, or what's the place called?
The name of the church?
Called?
Something Trinity. It has a symbol of three, always Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I always use the three. Sacred Trinity. I can do a presentation. I mean, it's in Iowa City. It's in downtown Iowa. It's right near where everything is here. I'll go and get a presentation for you on it. But it's just funny to me because, people who are ignorant, they're very good at seeing the obvious, I guess, satanic things or whatever the hell you want to call it, and they go right away and get mad at you. But the most important symbols, right, are like, I can't stress it enough. They're right there in the buildings, and no one looks up. They're in the phone, right? And they miss their Jesus alongside of Satan in an inverted pentagram. They should be asking questions.
No, I mean, I think honestly, a lot of that is a ruse for the Freemasons, where I don't know at what level you kind of are privy to this, or what degree you're privy to this information, but I believe that, they know that all the God stuff is bullshit. All the worship of these idols is bullshit, and I don't know, it might be a pretty early thing on. It's just you're not supposed to talk about what you talk about in Freemasonry, and so how are we supposed to know? But they are aware, and it's like they're using all these symbols. I mean, these symbols are powerful. There's divination tools, within these symbols. At the same time, you shouldn't get lost. No one should get lost in the symbols, or ritual. Like we shouldn't be doing any ritual worship or like thinking anything is more spectacular than anything else. Really, it's like everything is the same.
Right.
And we have to like recognize that, rather than getting lost in like this idea that, because that's the problem I have with a lot of the Christians, is they want to make it all about this Jesus character. First of all, do the research. Jesus wasn't a character. Second of all, even if he was, so what? Show me proof that he performed these miracles, or show me any evidence whatsoever that what it says in the Bible or is true. I mean, okay, so the earth has four corners. Oh, so everything else in the Bible must be true? Nah, that's not logical. And really, if you study the history, it's like anything. It's like you study history, you see it. You see that like there's been deceptions. that there's not really any solid history to suggest that there was this guy, Jesus of Nazareth, or Yeshua even, and that instead it was more likely just based on mythological stories combined from previous, like Krishna, Buddha, which are all based on, astrology and even the, energy body of man and the awakening of man, right? And ultimately, that's what all these allegories are for: is the awakening of consciousness and the movement of the stars, and how maybe that correlates to this awakening. I'm not sure about that. Seems to be a correlation.
You might have good bearing on that, actually, in a sense, because it does resonate with many people. Astrology and religion in that sense. Not going too deep into it, like.
Right, and so what they've done is the secret societies, the ones that decided they were going to pull this wool over all the eyes of many, they turned everything upside down. Yes. Does that mean they were worshiping the Satan character? No. Like, who is saying, like, what? It's another character. Do they worship anything? Probably not. That's probably the whole problem. Not the problem, but it's part of the problem is that they don't see divinity. They don't see the divinity in intrinsic graphs, Because if they did, they would respect human life. And if they respected human life, they wouldn't do all these things that are degrading and killing and destroying our human society. They just wouldn't. They would understand that karma is a real thing. They would understand that everyone has to basically be responsible for all their actions. Every single thought, word, deed, action that we take, we're ultimately responsible for. Maybe not at that moment necessarily, but in the grand scheme of things, I very much believe that. Which is why
I think, in a sense, some sort of a butterfly effect. It comes back on you. It's like it's an eternity loop, in a sense. That's I often like envision it could be something like that. I think about this butterfly effect. It's nice to like meditate on that, in fact, but how it just can grow and grow and grow. Butterfly effect. It grows. If you think about it, meditate on that. It's like, it's immense, really.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it goes back to being connected. We're all connected, and it's because of that. It's like we are so moldable. Like there's this the trance state of hypnosis that it turns out we're pretty much in all the time, especially with television and media and advertising. That's all to basically put people into trance state and also to keep them there. So that basically when you're in this trance state, you're highly suggestible and you're going to just believe just about everything, especially when it comes from like a guy in a lab coat, for example. And so, everything kind of is geared towards this perversion of the truth. The truth is that we are here in this realm to become fully awakened beings. That is the purpose of Earth realm, is to become a fully awakened being. Be fully awakened within the physical vehicle. It is sort of part of being at certain levels of consciousness, we're just intrinsically awake, right? But to be embodied in a human vessel is a much greater challenge, especially because of some of these variables, like the fact that we have been repressed, the fact that we are being poisoned and dumbed down, and we have all been through this indoctrination camps known as public education. That it makes it that much harder to wake up in this society. All the ancient wisdom teachings, probably all the astrology, as in the sky, the stars that we see in the sky, all relate to this waking up of humanity, because that's what we're here for. That's the reason that we exist here.
Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, going back to school, and I do believe we have been instilled this kind of a fear factor, right? Already from a young age. And now, if you think about it, today, how children, you know, they need to get up early, they've got to be all dressed and everything, breakfast and all that kind of stuff, get to Burner Hill, get to, you know, the kindergartens or nursery or whatever it is on time. They don't like coming late, do they? Already on time. And that is instilled into them already, like when they're 6, 5, 4, 3, over here, like, I mean, very young, you know.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have babies. You see, like, women that walk around, I'm not generalizing now, mainly women, they walk around with like a giant pram with like 5 kids in it, 5 babies in it, or 4, and then some a little bit that can walk, 2-year-olds, you know, 3-year-olds beside them, holding on. And these are the daycare mothers that go around, you know, and it's like a style they have over here with these big prams, like, you know, these big push chairs with 4 babies in them usually. It's kind of nice in the summertime when they're all sat up looking around, like, you know, but yeah. But already from a young age, they're taught getting up early in the morning, going to a place at a certain time, getting picked up at a certain time because they all know, oh, my dad's coming now, or, you know, at this time when that's there, my dad's coming. They already know, so it's already instilling into them more or less the clock in, clock out system.
Yeah.
I'm clocking in, I'm at work. You own my ass. I'm clocking out, goodbye, until tomorrow when you own my ass again. You know, it's from an early age. Even kids like, you know, 11, 12, 14, whatever, they've got paper rounds, they've got jobs, you know. So already they're paying taxes and things if it's done correctly, aren't they? From a young age, they know about the system. They should be children. They should be having a childhood.
Right. Absolutely.
They should be having a childhood, man. I mean, we should all be having a childhood in a sense, but especially the children, right?
Yeah.
And they're working. They have responsibility already because they need to be at work on time, and they need to do a good job, and they need to be respectable and comb your hair and brush your face and wash your teeth, and no, wrong way, you know. Sorry, but that's what I'm saying, from an early age already.
May I share an image for you all? The Eastern Star for the chat room. Is that okay, Aaron?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the Eastern Star logo for those who want to know what it is. Can you all see that? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So you notice the inverted pentagram or the pentagon that your politicians hang out in. So what are they doing in there, right? And they're probably Christians and all kinds of things. And you know what I mean? Here's your Scottish Rite, your York Rite symbol here with the crown. That's the Jehovah's Witnesses. They have that logo, by the way. So there's a lot more in here. I don't want to take too much of your time, Aaron, but for those who don't know, that symbol is that. And it's unfortunate because it's the females doing their thing. And, you know, like one of them is called Martha. Martha is a very important name because in dance, it's a very famous choreographer. You might have Martha Graham technique. It's a very famous modern dance technique. A lot of people have studied it, like actors have done it. I'm not saying she was evil, but she's into like one of her ballets is called Helios, the sun, right? Everything is in the solar plexus. When we're dancing, we're harnessing. So I'm wondering, right, Aaron, like even in dance, some of these people, they were standing in place of other things. So maybe I'm pretending to choreograph, right? And to give you a technique, but maybe that technique is doing something else.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the conversation they don't want to have here. I can never raise my hand and say,
interesting. Yeah, I mean, like the whirling dervishes is the first thing that came to mind, and how they have a dance that basically is all about, you know, achieving that trance state, but then even, you know, more awakened state of consciousness. And then dance, of course, has been always one of the greatest ways to achieve that higher state of consciousness, you know. And you always see the African tribe dancers, and they're just kind of like lost control of their body. That's because they're in that trance state and they're experiencing a higher force move through them. You know, that's a real thing, as you know, as many people who have had that experience know. And then, of course, you know, ballet is structured and rigid, and it's precise, and it's supposed to do it in exactly this way. not, you know, free form. Like, I'm sure there's free form, you know, version styles that have evolved, but, you know, ultimately and historically, it was like where we're all prim and proper and, you know, controlling, just like with music too. If you look at the music of the past, you know, it's where they were, you know, the classical music is really, it's boring music, right? It's controlled, it's restrained. They're only playing certain notes and chords. You cannot go out of that. You'll be punished by death if you play a minor sixth chord. You know what I mean? I actually heard of stuff like that. You know, where kings would be like, no, I did not like that. Then you just kill the entire, you know, group.
Yeah.
And
you know, here. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, the thing is like music and dance historically were the two of, let's say now there's 4 arts. There's, you know, literature, art, visual art, and then music and dance. Let's just say that's it. Well, music and dance, it wasn't until pretty recently that we were able to document these dances and the music itself, right? You compare that to having ancient writings or having ancient artwork. Yeah, we can have that. We can see what was going on in the art of historical periods, but we don't know exactly what was going on in terms of music and dance. You know, like, for example, Leonardo da Vinci was a great musician, you know, but who knew that? We didn't know that, and he didn't make as big of a deal because we have no recordings of Leonardo da Vinci playing the violin.
Sorry to interrupt, Aaron. Oh, we've got an echo. The dancers, we can see them because I can't speak with an echo. It sounds so bad. The dancers, we can see them because they're reenacted in like portraits and pictures and paintings and things. You know, someone has taken portraits and things, and from that we can gather like the speed of the dance by what they're wearing. You know, especially the women, if the dresses are like flaring out, then you know they're going at some velocity or whatever. You know, spinning round, or you know, you can relate to it if it's been painted well. And there are many paintings that, you know, show us this kind of thing. So we know so much about dancing, but not enough, obviously, because, as you say, it's all relatively new. Now with the internet, we can see a new dance within minutes of it being created, man.
Right.
Worldwide, anywhere you are. Yeah.
May I share one thing that will actually, it relates to the rigidness that you said, Aaron, is very important. Because the way that I teach, you know what I mean, is all about the elements. So this is a dance magazine. Can y'all see? The Royal Academy of Dance. Okay, right there. Now in this, they have me in here. Let me see where it is exactly. Let me see if you guys can see. You see my name in there at all? It's kind of hard. It's kind of small. Really? I don't know. Yeah. Anyhow, they got me in this article, man. Red and the blue on the cover. The boy's wearing blue. He's wearing red. They keep doing it. You know what I mean? And they have me in here in a positive light. It's just funny because they're always dancing with this energy, right? Even in ballet, they do that. Because King Louis was the Sun King. Catherine de Medici was the first patron. That's Isis, EC. Isis, she married King Louis. Now you have your human moon and your sun giving you art. Yeah. Better stay in line. Better stay in line, or I'm going to like really do something bad, you know? Yeah. Like kill 50,000 Protestants in one night, which is what Medici did. Evil. 50.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Alice washes her hands, goes on, and she's in history. No one knows who she is here in the dance department.
Wow.
Right. I know. And these are PhDs, man.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't start learning about the history of like science or mathematics until after I dropped out of college. You know, I realized, oh, they're not going to teach you. They don't teach you any of that there. Even if you take the class, it's like the history of science. No, it's all very controlled, and they don't. And so you're not really learning about how everything actually went down. You're just learning the narrative that they're pushing on everyone. You know, and that's true just about everything. Like history is completely boring. Like in high school, you know, what's history? It's the history of wars. It's all just the history of wars. That's all we ever learned, you know?
You have to remember now, and it's very simple. Just go back. Who printed the books? Who had the money? And it's whoever had the money gave the fucking orders, more
Probably
or less,
the ones who printed the money.
Yeah, not probably.
Yeah.
We know
Which-
too much.
Which again brings us back to, you know, what I'm working on here, because and a lot of this is like, there's an analog here where the theme that they repeat, that they're able to get away with all this, is because they just did it. They just took the initiative and they just did it, right? It wasn't that any higher authority gave them that authority. Maybe, you know, Moses went up to the mountain and brought back the, no, they just decided this is what the 10 Commandments are going to be, or whatever, you know? It's like, it's they decree it, and so it becomes, because enough people believe it, and then you have generation after generation believing it, it becomes more and more of what seems like a fact, even though it's empirically counter to our observation. And so this is the problem, but this is also the solution, because all we have to do is just decree what is actually true, which is part of what we're doing here, what we're doing whenever we're speaking the truth. But also, as far as our action, how can we do this? Like, think about it. Well, here's an interesting history lesson: is that the King James Bible, we've found some edited versions of it that have shown editors' notes, and they talk about, the specific editor talks about a lot of the things that they've removed from the various Gospels, from the various mythological stories that had been previous times, that they were trying to combine into this New Testament. Now, this is a few hundred years, or actually, no, this is 500 years at least, after, you know, it's like 500 AD kind of time. So they removed a major thing out of all of these various other teachings, and that was that royalty is a violation of natural law. You know, if you declare yourself a king, you are violating natural law, because all is created equal. All is equal, and this is why even America declared independence, and we declared all men are created equal. That's why that's like really significant. Well, they also decreed. So now what they did was they removed all the mentions that royalty is a violation of divine law. That was their first step. And now all the religions are starting to believe that, or just starting, studying the wisdom teachings without that in mind, without that limitation.
Can I interrupt? It was basically that they removed anything that made the king look in bad lights. They just took it out, didn't they? So it was like, oh, it's all shiny, shiny, Sorry.
Which is why it's so funny when people are like, oh, it's the KGV. No, it's only the KGV. It's like, whoa, 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 hold on. That's like the most corrupt version of any holy work ever, And like, that's historically just, I don't know, it's pretty much fact. So yeah, how are they, and it's the one that happens to be by a king that says, oh no, it's okay for there to be kings. There's no problem with that. And then what they did was they decreed that they owned the entire world. They owned all the land, right? So they own all the land. And then they say, okay, something about like the ocean is, like, you're basically dead. And, we treat you as a dead person when you're on the ocean in our books. And so now that's pretty much our system. Here we have it. Now maritime admiralty law, we're all dead at sea.
Yeah.
And the British royalty of antiquity still to this day owns the entire world, and because of that, they're able to print the money. They're able to insert their political interests into every single country. And if you don't play ball, like Iraq didn't, or all these various countries didn't, they'll behead you. They'll take over your country. They'll stage a coup, economic hitman kind of stuff. And that's what they have been doing for sure. But here's the solution: is we just take it back. We decree that the land belongs to everyone equally. That's all we need to do. We decree it, and we create a solution for it. We create an organizing body, just like they created a political structure that organized themselves. And they have a voting system. Do they? Oh, is it free of corruption, guaranteed by cryptography? No, I didn't think so. Well, ours is. We have a voting system that is free of corruption, via cryptography, and it can be the scale of the entire world. So now these national borders, nah, we don't need them. State borders, don't need them. We don't have to recognize them. We can be independent, sovereign beings that all choose to just work with each other. And as our numbers grow, we will have a greater force. We're already a force to reckon with. We do this, we organize in this way, we're unstoppable. And I think we already are unstoppable at this point. This is why I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
And really it's a matter, and it's part of what I'm producing here. And I'm saying this as a precursor to what I'm about to launch too. I'm about to launch a few basic tools that are going to allow us to not give everything away to Google via Hangout, to be able to not have to even participate in the censorship problems with YouTube, but instead have ways of kind of retracting our networks from these various centralized services and having our own decentralized services, where now we're able to even have, like, we could be having this conversation within a private network where there's only a few hundred people who even are able to see it, and those people are verified, not Illuminati or whatever,
Sorry to interrupt. That's what I was thinking. Like, how can it be controlled in a sense that we're not going to get trolls and all that kind of.
It's a tough one, but I think it's just general moderation, and it's part. It's just personal relationships.
Yeah, but my question about because you're a bit more tech savvy than I am, what about the provider, the ISP? Because we have providers, internet providers.
Right.
So obviously it's down to them in essence what information goes further, and how it goes. I mean, if it's scripted or if it's just like, but just send it out. They can stop it, can't they? They can censor us. If they don't like what they're saying or whatever, I mean, obviously then they're looking at our information. If it's allowed or not, I don't know. I don't think so, but I mean, they're the provider.
It's debatable whether it's allowed, but because it's debatable and it's being debated, it is allowed because they're able to do it until they're not able to get away with it anymore. This is actually a really good question. And I definitely wanted to talk about this. I mean, basically, the internet, there's two pipelines that go through the internet. There's UDP and there's TCP. TCP is what we're all familiar with. It's what we're using right now. It's all the websites you go to are being served over the TCP. And that's just a protocol for how computers are communicating. And there's this other one called UDP, which is kind of like the Wild West. Like, the protocol is sort of lack of all protocols. And so this is where, like, BitTorrent is using UDP. And basically, it's necessary for a number of other reasons. Like, we need to be able to do practically anything we want with the internet. That's a part of it. So there's a lot of systems that are built using UDP. So they're not going to shut it down, most likely. Although it does provide us access to a decentralized network, basically a mesh. A mesh is similar to a network, or like a centralized network, but it's, well, I guess the difference is that it's distributed, meaning that basically, like, I would connect, my computer would connect with someone else's computer directly. And then that someone else's computer would connect with a number of other people's computers. So for me to get to someone else's computer beyond them, I would go through them, perhaps. So we're all, by us all being connected directly to one another and then being connected to a number of people directly, we're creating a meshwork or mesh-based network that then allows us to, and we can communicate however we want. So we can use systems that already developed. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. That we can use to basically communicate encrypted from end to end. So I'm encrypting the message, sending it to you. You're either decrypting it or maybe you're forwarding it on to someone else who can decrypt it. So we can have perfectly private communications. And we could be doing live streaming with this in chats like we're doing now, where now only the people who have access to this thread or however we set it up will be able to access it, And because of that, because that's there now, there's the ISPs. If you want to actually access the regular internet, of course, you do have to go through an ISP currently. And so now what I'm building into this is basically the ability to monetize the service. So like if you pay however much, say $50 a month for an internet service provider, and you have X amount, or maybe it's unlimited bandwidth, then you can sell off some of that bandwidth. People who can then go and use the internet through your tunnel for whatever fee that you might set. And then we get enough people that are providing ISP services in this way, then they can kind of compete. It creates an open market. Prices will be established where now you're paying maybe $5 a month for 50 gigabytes or whatever. It's going to be really cheap, but it'll allow the general population to also participate in being ISPs. But also more importantly, it's building our network of a mesh. And there's already a network that's built on this technology. It's called Hyperborea, ironically. And it already exists. It's just really hard to access. You have to know kind of what to do and how to access it. But the idea, and this is what they're working with, is that. So what? Oh, wow, you're super robotic, Karen.
I didn't say anything.
Oh.
Who's talking? Because I can't hear anything. Everyone's just breaking up.
Oh, is it breaking up? Can you hear me?
Oh, you're better now, yeah.
Oh. Karen, you're really.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. I went to the toilet
Yeah,
and
Karen,
had
I
a
think
poo.
your mic is a little weird, Karen. I think it's a little broken. Speak, Karen.
Hold on.
Hello.
There you go.
You're right now.
Pretty robotic.
I'm not going to say very much, so carry on.
Yeah. Let's see here. What was I saying?
Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
talking about cryptocurrencies and $5 a month for
All the
yeah,
internet service and everything. Yeah. So so where this would lead to, and this is the plan with Hyperborea and the various technologies they're working on in this regard, is that if we have enough participants in this new mesh network that are basically connecting directly to each other, we can actually just circumvent the ISPs, the uplinks, the wide area network, which is like the standard internet that we're all used to. And so what's happening, will happen even more here, is that we'll basically be able to create our own private series of networks. I mean, you could create not just one private network here. We could each one of us could have our own private world of networks. It's kind of just this unlimited, extensible thing. But I am trying to organize it into a singular network that'd be based on the Iron framework for now, so that then you'll also be able to do the transactions, the cryptocurrency transactions through the same network for free. So there's no middleman, there's no like extraneous fees. Now, various things may or may not cost money. It just depends how I can figure it all out. Like I ideally would like to create a free internet and a free mode of communication and transaction, and that is doable, I do believe. So that's what I'm striving for. But it also, the idea that like, how do we have an infrastructure if there's no one really paying for it, And so there might have to be some level of monetization just so that we can actually have an infrastructure for communications. But that also includes, this will also include like logistics or supply chain infrastructure. For example, how are things shipped? Amazon is Walmart solved that problem by getting their own trucks. That was kind of the greedy, selfish way to solve that problem, because now they put all these truck drivers out of business. They put all these independent carriers, not necessarily out of business, but it makes it harder and that's why they were able to charge such cheaper prices, because they had their own logistics.
Do you think there's something going on with Walmart?
Oh, usually, yeah. I mean, they're probably part of the who knows what, the Illuminati elite, Freemasons.
You know, one of the richest men in the world is that guy what's he called? Yeah,
Walton.
Mr. Walton.
Yeah.
Walmarts.
Walmart, and then
They turn him into
Law.
FEMA camps, maybe.
Well, that whole thing with, like, if you reverse wall, it's law, and then Mart.
Martial law. Yeah, exactly. But it's just so strange.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the setup of them, the way that you can get trucks in there, these water ducts that come out from there or go into there, they've all got lakes beside them. What's all that about? They're using water for what? What is it about?
Part of their agenda. See, this is part of their agenda.
Something going on there. Investigate people. Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of their agenda. You know, there's evil people. They're doing evil things. Like, you know, that's something that we need to, like, just be fully aware of. First of all, fully admit to ourselves, because this is a problem I have. I was a part of, you might say, the New Age group for a number of years there. I lived in Boulder, Colorado, and, you know, did a lot of yoga. And I have nothing against yoga or New Age even, but there is a certain, like, flightiness that a lot of them have, a certain ungroundedness where it's like, you know, they want to just have positive thinking, that's the solution to all these problems, is just think positively, man. Just, it's all good. You know, there's no reason to get worked up, man. You know, we're just all peace and love, bro. You know, and just that mentality, like, it's so, like, it's like, yeah, you know, sure, we're all love. Okay, fine, fair enough. I'm not even sure what you mean by that, and what exactly is your definition of love. Not sure. You know, I have an experience that I have that, you know, is of connectedness to all life. Maybe that's what you're talking about. But that's through observation. That's through introspection that I've come to that, you know. But then I also have come to this realization that there's a lot of evil people out there. There's a lot of people who are willing to take advantage of others. There's a lot of people who are willing to lie and deceive, to pull the wool over, and so they can have control over, which actually, trying even just the thought to have control over another life is actually a violation of natural law. Even just to have the thought is actually a violation of natural law. So if you have a thought, I want to control that animal, I want to control that person, you're actually building up karmic debt, because that thought is illegal according to natural law. And so you'll pay the debt, you'll pay the price. Now, it won't be in the way that most people think of karma, because that's another thing. It's like, you know, all these ungrounded New Age hippies, they want to be like, you know, yeah, man, you got to be good to people because of karma. It's like it's this eye for an eye thing. Like, that's what karma is. That's not what it is, you know. Karma is the lessons that we're learning. And if we don't learn the lesson that time, we get another opportunity to learn it. Ultimately, that's what karma is. And so we are continually given the opportunities to learn the lesson that our higher self, our true self, decided for us to learn, that we wanted to learn. You know, we wanted to learn these various lessons. We came into the certain lives that we did. We attract to us a certain circumstance and experiences that will give us the opportunity to learn. But if we choose to not learn, or to even go the opposite direction and become more ignorant to it, yeah, we're gonna be presented with that even more so. You know, so if you don't learn the lesson, that's why it gets worse and worse until you finally do learn the lesson. And that, in my opinion, is karma. And so, and this is based on observation. You know, this is based on my own observation of all the karmic debt that I've had to pay off in that way. You know, and so, really, like, in truth and reality, there's all of these people that have been willing to deceive and try to have power over others, and they'll get theirs, right? First of all, they'll get their lessons that they're going to have to learn, and they are right now. This is part of that. Us coming forward and speaking the truth, exposing their lies is part of it. Whenever you tell a lie, the repercussion is that eventually that lie is going to surface, and then you're going to have to face the person that you lied to, in a way. Maybe not directly, but in some fashion, you're going to have to face the fact that you lied. And that's, you know, it might seem like a small thing to a lot of people, but when you lie for generations to masses of people, that's, you know, that's a lot of debt that you're accruing.
Can I say something?
Yes. You can say things whenever you want without having to ask.
Yeah. It's just that I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt your flow.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No, but I love what you're saying. But oh God, no, I forgot what I was wanting to say. No, Jesus, no. It's about this. Reiterate, please. What was the last thing you just said? I want to get it straight.
I'm talking about the, people lying and having power over, or trying to have power over others.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, about these lies and things, right? Well, I can relate to all you on the panel tonight. I mean, I love you all. I really do. I mean, we spoke on here. We've had after hangouts where we spoke as well, like, you know. And I can relate to every one of you, every single one of you, without shadow of a doubt. And I think it must be something to do with, and is profess the right word? I profess that I would rather that people spoke the truth and were honest about themselves, like, you know, down to earth. I call it down to earth, you know, because I consider myself a very down to earth person. Mm-hmm. Take me as I am, because this is who I am, right? That's it. And I'm not, because I don't want to hide anything, like, in that sense. So I'm myself. You can't go wrong. And we are truthers, flat earthers, conspiracy theorists, conspiracy realists. That's what I call myself. We have this connection in that sense, you know. We tell the truth. We want to know the truth. And therefore, we're spreading the truth. And because we're down to earth people, I mean, you might be a water person, I don't know, whatever, you know, but I say it as a generalization, you know, generically. We're down to earth. We are so down to earth, and I think that has a big bearing on how we are as people in this flat earth, you know, movement, whatever we want to call it, you know. I don't like putting names on things, but us flat earthers, right, we know it's flat. We know it's flat. I think something to do with us being grounded in that sense, you know. We tell how we are. We explain we're very empathic. We have more feelings than other people. We do, you know. We can also be angry, for sure. We can be angry. I can, no problem about that, you know.
Mega sensitive.
Yeah. We are. We are more sensitive, and I think it's almost like we can sense electricity prickling your skin, kind of thing. You know, you get this sense of, when I'm around people that relate to me, resonate with me, I feel it, you know, they have an aura. We give off this aura. Yeah. We have this energy field around us, and we sense it, you know. Just recently, I've got a good friend now, I would call him. I mean, a good friend, because we can talk about anything, you know, and it's all conspiracy related. You call it conspiracy, I call it, this is the truth. Truth, yeah. He doesn't take medicine, vaccines, because, he's got ADHD, you know, and he totally disagrees with going to the doctor to get cured because the doctor's going to kill you. He's into, you know, chemtrails and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to interview him one day. But it is, in essence, all to do with, like I say, our down-to-earthedness. We're so down to earth. And I think we're almost like children of nature. Think about it. We are so more in tune with nature than the majority of the other people, you know. I think that's the basis of what we are, and that's why we can relate to each other. That's why we are who we are, what we are. We're down to earth, we're flat earthers, you know. Right, rant over. You can continue, Aaron. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm a bit drunk. I've been having some white wine tonight.
I thought you were drinking urine there, Astral.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the Earth is like the natural thing that we observe, right? It's like the thing that we all have in common, and so I think for us to and we're not moving. Like we're the ones that aren't moving, right? Like the flat earthers are the ones that are just on a stationary Earth, and I think a stationary Earth is so much more grounded than a spinning ball Earth. You know, because if you think your feet are technically moving,
it's ridiculous.
then you know how are you going to be grounded with that? You know, but if you just realize, oh yeah, I am perfectly still, I can stand perfectly still on this perfectly still Earth. I mean, honestly, I noticed movement. I've been noticing movement lately because I've been sort of meditating on this where I'm like, you know, so sensitive that I'm feeling the Earth move in very subtle ways in various places. Like I have this one place in the alleyway by my house, like where if I stand in this one region, I can feel a little vibration happening. And I'm like, you know, what is that? It is interesting. And then I'll feel my heart beating even. You know, I'm like, okay, that's my heart beating. That's not the Earth moving, but I can tell the difference. You know, I can feel my heart pumping blood through my body, and it's actually moving my body very subtly. So that's how sensitive I am. But then I'm even like taking that further, and sometimes, you know, and being LA, it could be earthquakes. You know, there are a decent number of earthquakes out here that I think most people just don't even notice because there's some subtle little tremors. But yeah, I think you know, just the fact that we are on a stationary plane, it makes us more grounded. But also we're honest. We're being honest with ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing. Is anyone who's just self-honest is ultimately going to be grounded. You know, they're going to be rational. They're going to make sense because they're not lying to themselves. You know, you have to lie to yourself in order to convince yourself that even like, okay, there's extraterrestrials from Pleiades that are coming in. Well, where's your evidence? Like, have you seen that? You know, do you have direct experience of that? You know, probably not. And so, you know, that's a little out there. Now, you know, I liked to believe in that. Like going back to this New Age stuff, it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. We're all aliens, and that's where that's why I'm so weird, is because I'm actually an alien. That makes sense. I identified with that at an early age, and then the New Age movement is kind of supporting that notion. But then really, it's all like dismissive. It's kind of the Messiah principle. It's like, okay, the Pleiadians are going to come and save us all someday here. You know, it was supposed to be 2012. Maybe they're a little late because, you know, they're light years away, so they have to travel here so they can save us and bring us all the new technology that we've had repressed. And, you know, sure, that'd be great if something like that happened, or President Trump goes and just like ends the Illuminati. Yeah, that'd be great. But, you know, I'm not holding my breath for any of this stuff to happen. And more likely, what I am doing is I'm taking the action necessary for. I mean, it's not even. It's just like I'm just talking here, right? I'm just talking, but I'm saying certain things that aren't generally said, and they're definitely not said enough. For example, you know, we have the ability to just say, you know what, all these national borders, we don't honor them, we don't respect them. Who made that up? All right, the decree that someone owns land. No one owns land. That's impossible. You can't own land. That's impossible. It's a violation of natural law. We need to be basically turning the tables, if you will, ultimately, where we're setting up where, no, here's the true court, and the true court is of the peers that are, you know, representing the natural law. And how do we represent the natural law? In discourse like this.
It's like that. It's like that. We the people. Why do you think that is correct? Because I don't. And if I don't, I'm sure someone else doesn't think that it's correct. And, you know,
what do you mean?
100 more people, 300 more, 300,000 more people. You know, I agree, Aaron, wholeheartedly. I agree. I've always felt this. Earth belongs to everybody. No one has claim over anything. Nobody. It's here for us all. So it's for us all to share. Simple as that. It's
May I chime in?
for everyone.
You're good. May I chime in,
No.
Aaron? To build with you? It's okay?
Please. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, man. Because you mentioned the Pleiades, and in my thesis, I call them the Pleiades, the sisters of Venus. And I want to acknowledge our goddesses on the panel for a moment. Is Patricia there? Patricia? Or is she sleeping, do you think? I just want to show, if she's not school.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Great. I'm going to show you something in etymology about you, okay? Check this out. So Patricia relates to Jupiter in etymology. Can you see that, Patricia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then when you type in nerd, watch this. This pertains to the people who, get teased a lot about being smart. When you click on it, you will find on the side, you get Neptune. Do you see Neptune on the side there for nerd? You see that? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that didn't take me 5 hours. I didn't ask you to go read a book. I didn't tell you to go worship me. And so I would love to hear the goddess's thoughts on that. Just, Patricia, you want to say something, or Karen, or Kung Fu, or whatever? I don't know.
Just
Or a brief moment.
where's the connection from my name to nerd?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That is a good
Patricia
question.
felt insulted that I can
Astrology!
detect
Neptune and Jupiter are planets.
from Patricia to
I
nerd.
get that
My
bit.
goodness.
It's the nerd.
And
Where-
he even said
Where's the
princess.
connection? Is
What's that?
it what first came to your head?
I'm sorry?
Patricia, nerd. Is it what first came to your head? Patricia, nerd.
No, I'm not calling you a nerd. I'm not calling you a nerd. I just feel that Aaron is very wise, and so when we people who are into technology and computers and Bitcoin or Dungeons and Dragons, whatever they're called these terms, I just wanted to show that it might seem insulting, but it relates to a very powerful energy. Neptune is a very powerful psychic water energy, like Poseidon. It's a very cool symbol. And if we got more into the stars and into etymology and just sort of decoded our names, that can help us to get out of this hell, man. Because people don't look at their names. Like, your name is God and Goddess, whatever. Like, it's all about that up there. We're supposed to go back home, right?
So it's not up there. It's in here. It's in here.
Yeah.
That's so fundamental. That is so fundamental that and we need to force ourselves to kind of retrain what we think of, where is God? God is in here. This is God here. Not that I, Aaron, am the God of everything, but the real true God of everything is inside of Aaron. It's a part of Aaron. Aaron has direct access to that, which is, right? And so does everyone else. Everyone else. All life, even what we don't biologically consider life, still has access to that, because everything is that, and so and then relating that to the feminine, like you're talking about, okay? This is also key. Yes, their main strategy against us has been to degrade our sexuality. In general, they distort and skew sexuality, and they're doing that in terms of genders. They're doing that in terms of the degradation of morality through pornography, and just showing more and more sort of skin, and getting more and more lax in regard to what is, and it's not so much what is proper, it's that there's just already such an unhealthy relationship to sexuality that has been since thousands of years ago. Maybe the Romans, they probably started it, where they just started getting lost in debauchery and just degradation of these principles, where now this gender and sex became about private parts and covering up yourself, and then purely the physical body and the physical appearance of the body, when actually gender is about the polarity of this realm in its entirety, and what's on either side: divine feminine, divine masculine. It's not masculine feminine, it's divine masculine, divine feminine, and that's all that exists in actuality. And so what they've tried to do, they've just tried to distort, especially the feminine, because the divine feminine has the greatest ability to receive the truth. So by them distorting that in all of our minds, we no longer really have the ability to be receptive to the truth. The divine masculine would be the one speaking the truth, right? It would be the force that is sort of actively putting the truth out there. And again, you know, all the conceptions of men we have, all the models, all the role models that we have are all kind of either now it's more and more feminized men. You know, all the gay stuff, all of the transsexual stuff. That's all just very confusing. Now, nothing against, you know, whatever you want to do with your gender. At the same time, though, them pushing it as propaganda upon children in schools, that's completely immoral and wrong. You know, and there's no one that...
They're changing the books, aren't they? They're making like little programs on TV where they've got all these like, dare I say, odd families.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, it was a boy, it was a girl. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you had your mum and your dad. And
Yeah,
your mum had blonde hair and wore a dress, and your dad, you know, he had a beard and he wore pants. You know, it was, and went a shirt and tie and shit. We're losing our identity, and they're trying to, you know, pollute our children. And oh gosh, I mean, it's like, it's acceptable to have two mums as your parents. It's acceptable to have two fathers as your parents, you know, or to have all these kind of.
It's not so much that the acceptable part is the problem; it's that they're pushing it. They're pushing it. They should, you know, the government should be completely unbiased, and really, media technically should be unbiased as well. And especially in terms of academia, I mean, come on. That's a no-brainer. It should be unbiased. It should be presenting the information as we know it. And
exactly. And if we know better than the teacher, then we know better than the teacher, you know. And hey, listen, teacher, professor, you're wrong. I'm sorry to say, but you're wrong because my mathematics. Check this out.
Sorry.
Do it. Do the
Wait a minute. Cortex is in your brain. Cortex is in your brain, right? The cortex is in your brain. Sorry.
Cortex in your brain.
There's a reptile that is right about here in the back of your brain. It's a reptile, the lizard.
Reptile brain.
Sometimes you can feel them move around.
There's a restaurant called Lizard's Thicket in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm going to ask you, what's a lizard doing making my food? Right.
And what did it say?
We're all lizards.
He said, delicious.
Thank you for that, Jay.
He said.
Right. Gribbit.
That's my lizard impersonation. Yeah.
Love it.
You know, earlier. Sorry, I'm interrupting again now. Right? I like to write notes. How much
urine you drink over there?
No, it's actually wine. Believe it or not, it's wine.
He's getting pissed off
now. Chateau Perail. It should be called Chateau Derail.
It has P in it. Pereira. Okay, there you go.
Perail. It's 2014. It's 2014, so it's a bit old.
It's French for urine. It's le urine.
I don't think you're supposed to let it age like that.
Aged in oak casks barrels for 9 months, so it's been aged for 9 months. And then, of course, it's 2018 now, so we've had another 4 years there. That's good. I think
you have a drinking problem. You know you have a drinking problem when you're acknowledging your bottle as a body. Astral. What's wrong with you, man?
It's an astral body. Astral pertaining to body.
Wine or astral body.
Can I say? Hey, I've got an etymology here of astral. Actually, this is for you, Jay. Right? Oh. Astral adjective.
Serious.
Check me out. Let's go ahead.
Okay, for you. This is for you, Jay. Astral adjective.
Yes, sir.
1. Of, pertaining to, coming from, or like the stars. Starry. 2. Biological or biology of, pertaining to, or resembling an aster, star-shaped.
Star.
3. In alchemy, susceptible to influences from the stars, astral gold. 4. In theosophy, These are new lips. I'm just trying to break them in. Sorry. In theosophy, pertaining to or consisting of a substance supposed to pervade all space and be refined beyond the tangible world. And I don't know what LL apostrophe means, but I presume it's Latin, because it says underneath there, Astralis Astrum. That there is astral, and that's also a good reason why I'm the astral thief. No, it's Latin.
Is
It must be
a word?
No, it's a.
Is that a term?
Sorry, I'm swearing.
It's saying the Latin.
It's yeah. From etymology, LL means something. I think it means Latin.
Because you have LL Cool J. You have LL Cool J.
Yeah, but LL stands for Ladies Love Cool J. That's what LL stands for.
No. He's a Freemason. He's got a picture of himself with one leg rolled up. No, they're all them damn rappers and shit. You said you mean the Crips and the Bloods of the Scottish Rite and York Rite, red and blue? Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. Pardon me. Wow. But you said Asher in there? Did you say Asher? Astral? As Astral?
No, I didn't say
you
Asher. I said Aster. It's a plant.
Just Asher. Asher's a name. It relates. I wanted to sync with you. There was a rapper called Asher Roth. Anyone here remember this? He was a white rapper a little while ago. He had some famous hit song about going to college and shit. His name was Asher Roth. We have the Rothschilds. He's calling himself the Red Star. He's calling himself a Marsian god of war. These rappers, thank you, Astral, for that, because that's not a coincidence. It's all
similar as well to the Rosicrucian, the Rosie Cross, the Red Cross.
Yeah, and
which
Rothschild
was actually shaped like a star.
Rothschild means red shield, doesn't it?
Red shield, yes, it does. You have Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie. Do we really have her? No?
Not anymore, I guess.
No, she's gone. Yeah, long gone.
I think she woke up though. I think she was tired of The View. She was like, wasn't she kind of being a bit of a badass? And like,
I heard a little bit. Yeah, I saw a little bit of her, but yeah, she's doing something now though, isn't she? I heard she's back in something. I don't know. I don't keep too.
Hey, how's your Netflix thing? I remember last time you mentioned that you had some people interested in what you were doing. You mentioned like Netflix and stuff. Can you talk about that a bit, like things like that, or how's that going? And I'm curious.
Yeah, I did talk about it earlier, but I'll mention it again.
Okay.
Maybe that was right before you hopped on, I think.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, basically, it's there's a couple things. There's one that we recorded that's probably going to be a hit piece. It'll come out some point this year, I think, on Netflix. And then there's another. There's a documentary that I've been working on. These guys want to get it to Netflix, but they're not even done with it yet. So, and then there's a much bigger, like a docu-series that these guys want to do expeditions to the north, to Antarctica. They want to take a boat around the circumference or perimeter of Antarctica, and then they want to go, in with a plane and an actual sort of hiking crew. They want to take all these expeditions. They want to get funding from like a big studio like Netflix or National Geographic or Discovery Channel. So they're going big time, and they're probably this is a really big production studio too. So
yeah, but you were saying that you were broke, and then Netflix is coming, so it sounds like you're on the up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be probably years, at least a year before anything happens. I mean, they're supposed to come out with this pitch reel in like a month or so, and then they're going to pitch it to all these various big networks, and then they're going to try to get the gig. And so it's probably going to be a year before anything really comes out.
Hey, Aaron, I don't want to sound rude, but are you going to get paid for any of this, for doing this?
For that, I will. Probably something. I'll get some, probably get some producer credit, as well as being on it, and so getting some royalty for that. Yeah, but that's going to be quite a bit down the road. But yeah, they're pretty legit. They operate pretty transparently and doing everything like how you should do it. So I think they'll honor that, and yeah, I'll get paid some from it, but certainly not waiting for that. Yeah, I mean, none of these things. I've done probably 15 different interviews and stuff. I got paid for the Jim Jeffries interview, $500, and I did get paid for another thing that's the thing that's supposed to come on Netflix. I got paid a little bit for that too, but that's probably gonna be a hit piece, so I probably earned that money.
May I say congratulations to you, man. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm obviously not doing any of this for the money.
Of course not.
Spread the good word.
But here's the thing.
It's all about
you.
innit? Spreading the good word. Sorry to interrupt you, Jay.
No, you're fine.
I will reiterate, it's all about spreading the good word, no matter how you spread the word. And even if they're like
when one of us
trolls,
gets into
spread the word. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah,
please.
when one of us gets into the system, no, you're fine. I'll always dance with you, and I will shut up when I'm told. No worries. When one of us makes it into a major thing like Aaron has done, it's not a small thing. Like, that's beautiful. That shows that things are shifting and that we do matter, and that if you keep pushing and believing in yourself, doesn't matter how much money you have or how broken you are, it's never too late to follow your dreams, to make something happen, to get off your butt and to do it. So that just inspired me. So I'm motivated.
Very good. Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Did you see the video that just came out that we did?
No,
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to say I saw a video that you made, Aaron. Very, very beautifully produced. It was just like crystal clear and like you can see quality. It just looks so good.
Send me a link. Please send me a link. Send me a link.
In the Hangout. This is the first link. Should be in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's on there, Jay.
It's on Sun and Moon Group as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Great.
But thanks for saying all that, guys. Seriously, it does mean a lot because it's kind of difficult, as you might know, like do things like that, and then like you put it out there, and then you get trolled like crazy. Telling you how stupid you are, and how you're the biggest idiot, and how retarded we all are. And of course, I know that like we don't all you have those opinions, but it is good to hear. It's good to get feedback because it's pretty rare actually that I get feedback. So and actually this one has been better in that regard. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from this one. Maybe even the Globe heads are like, "Wow, that was good production value." But I didn't make it. I just was in it, and I had my my meetup out here in LA. There's a number of them that were all participating in it. So it was a good group of people. We were well represented, and everyone had good things to say, I felt. And so, yeah, I think it's going to do some good things. I don't know, Mark Sargent had plugged it last night, and it was already blowing up. Let's see where it's at now. For almost 5,000 views. So it's actually getting bigger and bigger faster, So
I can't find it. Can you send it to me? I was trying to find it in the chat. I don't know where it is. Sorry.
It's in the Sun and Moon Group on Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook. Oh, sorry. I was in the YouTube thing. I'm ignorant to the. Sorry.
Which chat are you? You're in this one Hangout chat, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
But isn't it on Facebook? Sorry. Isn't it on Facebook as well?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I want to say, like, much love. It's been a really nice chat tonight. And also, I think it was really nice, Aaron, because you often come on and present, but today people are getting to know who you are, the man that's presenting Project Lumen. I think that's good. And much love to everyone chatting today on the panel. It's really great.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This has been good. Yeah. Much love from me to all you as well.
It's an honor.
I really appreciate feedback and to have these discussions. Honestly, this is what I live for, is to have these kinds of discussions. Here we are all over the, sprinkled all over the flat earth, and we're able to have this real-time conversation, a very deep conversation, a very interesting conversation. Hopefully everyone who's watched this is coming away with some information. I definitely urge people to stay up to date with what I'm doing with Project Lumen, Iron Framework. All of this is about to update pretty soon here. And if anyone has the means to contribute, please do so into Ironcoin. Go to ironrevolution.org, projectlumen.com or .org. You can go there and you can contribute to these initiatives. That helps me stay afloat at this point, so I can get all my basic survival needs taken care of and focus on really just getting this stuff built so we can have some viable alternatives for social media, for so we can have a church that keeps our right to homeschool and do a whole lot of other things, so that we can have viable alternatives to just a lot of these problems. And this is my heart that I'm putting into all this. This is what Project Lumen is like my heart that I wear on the outside of my body. It's basically what I'm trying to give to the world, and it is very much based on me and what I'm doing, and really just if you see, you like what I say, you like where I'm coming from, if it aligns with you, then contribute. And it's not just through money, although money is greatly appreciated, but also just these kinds of conversations. Reach out to me if you want to have one. I love having these kinds of conversations. I love meeting new people to have these kinds of conversations with. I'm a real person. I'll talk to you on the phone, and if you're in LA, I'll meet up with you. You can be a part of our group. And if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, or if you're unsure, just give me a call. I don't know how do you give me a call? I mean, just reach out to me on Earth Aaron on YouTube and Facebook, and or I think I have earthaaron.com. I have so many websites, it's ridiculous, but you can pretty much find me from any of these websites: Project Lumen, Iron Revolution, a whole lot of others. But yeah, so reach out to me. I encourage people to reach out to me and leave me a message or email or whatever. And
Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron, when the hangout goes out, why don't you just put your details below the hangout?
There you go. Yeah, that's a good solution. Probably simpler. Yeah, let's just do that.
But there is a bit in the description of this hangout anyway.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I can do that. And I guess what I'm saying here is, I really am trying to change the world for the better. I really am doing my best to use my time, the resources that I have, to create a better world. And I'm asking for anyone's help who aligns with that. And I want to just put out there that you can trust me. I am in no way, I have no secret agendas. I have no I would like the money to be comfortable like we all would, but I have no intention of just, going off and taking everyone's money and running, or even just becoming this lifestyles and the rich and famous kind of persona. I'll always be a real person, and all along the way, the more help I can get and the more network I can build, the quicker this can all happen. Where we can implement these new things into the world that are solutions for more people, and eventually we'll gain our own momentum. And that's the solution. The solution is for us to just take the constant progressive steps towards manifesting my vision and others' visions, and me listening to other people's visions as we work together to create a greater vision that's greater than any one of us. And ultimately we'll all have this I mean, not even ultimate, like pretty soon we're going to have a network where we no longer need to be broadcasting to all of Google what we're doing, or we no longer need to be trusting these centralized companies with all our private information. We could actually be private, and we could have our own network that could be growing, and it could be growing based on a sort of foundation of trust, where we trust each other as human beings, and we're working together to help and figure out who can we trust. Because in this world, it's very true. Is that there's people who are not trustworthy, who might present themselves as trustworthy. And this is the greatest skill we all need to develop, is how to be able to determine what are the signs, what are the flags that suggests this person is not trustworthy. And once we find out, oh, it's time to move on, okay? And we move on because there are plenty of people that are trustworthy, such that we should not waste any time with those that are not. And if anyone ever gives us any sign that they're lying or they're capable of lying, move on, and don't invite them to this group. We do not want liars in this group. We want only truth tellers. And the people who are going to be honest with themselves, most importantly, and then we can be honest with each other, and we can build these things. Like I said before, these to build something, these products, it does take time, it does take resource. Here I am, I'm taking on all these different roles to be able to build these products myself. I'm building the same products that Google has built. Google has millions and billions of dollars to put into. I'm doing the same thing, people. There's no reason why I can't do it, and they can. Actually, I'm more capable because I'm not dependent on a team or a table of executive board of directors. I'm not dependent on having to communicate with overseas development shops that can't necessarily speak English. I can do it all myself. If you give me a suggestion, guess what? I could make that change, and we could have a new updated site 3 minutes later. That's how we'll be able to operate here. And so it'll be fun.
No one to answer. Sorry, you've no one to answer to, have you? You're doing it yourself, so
I don't.
No one to answer to, so you're not under any stress in that sense. You can do it.
Not stress in that sense. I also have no one paying me, which is the stress that goes with that. But I'm okay. I've been in this situation before. I do have a lot of faith in the universe and in things working out. But I am also asking. For help and resources and network. I'm inviting anyone. If you're a coder and you want to be involved in the project that changes the world for the better, then hit me up. I could use coding and development help. I could. I can't pay you right now, but if you can pay me, then that'll help me getting closer to the ability to actually pay other developers. But you will get. I can pay everyone an Iron Coin. In the sense that that work will be valued, and it will be regardless of whether I pay you Iron Coin. But I can also pay Iron Coin to people who contribute things, just so that basically I'm just trying to get the wheels really moving with this thing, and I'm really close. And you'll see, I didn't do a demo today, probably a fear of what, but I don't need to do demo because in a few days to a week, I will be launching a new product that you'll be able to just go to ironrevolution.org and see what I've done. You'll see it on Project Lumen. You'll see all these sites. They will improve. They'll upgrade. And you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see what I'm capable of here. And, all I'm saying at this point is if you wait until that happens, your money won't get you as far as Iron Coin. So now is the time to buy Iron Coin. That's what I'm saying. Because, it's about to be much more valued. Let's just put it that way. Once people see that I actually have a product. Right now, it's all faith, right? It's like, Aaron's saying this thing. I hope he's speaking the truth. And I've seen his website, maybe, but I don't know. So anyone who's given me who's contributed at this point is doing so on faith, and I appreciate that. I'm extremely grateful to everyone who has helped up to this point. And I understand that's what you're doing. You're having faith in me, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's what I've been trying to present, like what I'm doing here, so that people can have faith in what I'm doing. They can have trust that I'm a legitimate person really trying to do this to good things for the world. And sure. I could be a shill that's saying that's reading off a teleprompter right now that's supposed to say these things. I could be, but hopefully you have enough of a judge of character that you can tell that I'm sincere, and that and so I understand that all the support I've gotten so far is based on faith, and I have gotten a good amount of support. What's about to happen is I'm about to have a product which is going to show all the sharks of the world. Oh, Aaron's got a product. Aaron's got something that's actually worth something. They're going to start coming in, and when they start coming in, things are going to change, and I'm going to be steadfast in the sense that I'm not going to let any sharks throw me off my center ever again. That's my commitment to all the world, is that I am committed to this thing. I will not have anyone to answer to, because that's very important. It's very important that I stay true to my vision, because I can't expect someone else to really appreciate my vision like I do, or even know it or understand it and what's necessary. And so, you know, I'm not going to get pulled off course, although it's still an extreme opportunity for anyone who might hear what I'm saying and have the means to help. You know, and then once I do launch, you'll see. We'll all see. I mean, I'm pretty confident that once I launch, it'll be seen that, okay, here's a product. Here's a product that's better than just about all of the other ICOs that are coming out these days. Some of these other ICOs have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're just based on ideas or maybe a little product that does a part of what they're promising. You know, not that I'm even hoping to raise hundreds of millions of dollars or expecting to, but I am seeing that it will be a popular thing. I don't know. I'm just, you know, putting it out there. I want people to kind of understand the timeline here, that I'm extremely aggressive with my timeline. I'm pushing this. I've been working 12 to 16-hour days for the last, I don't even know, really honestly, probably close to years. But in actuality, it's been, you know, months, the last number of months that I've been working 12 to 16-hour days constantly, no weekends, no vacations. I didn't go home for Christmas or Thanksgiving. You know, the whole time been working on these projects because I see the urgency. I see, and now it's even more so, I see the censorship is getting so rampant, out of control, that we need a solution that's going to essentially give us a viable alternative right now, as soon as possible. So that's why I've kind of really buckled down into the social media platform that's going to be censorship free. And, you know, they're going to try to hack it. So you got to keep in mind, I'm trying to figure out how to secure this so that we cannot be hacked, so that so I won't inadvertently censor anyone. That's a whole thing too, accidental censorship, which, you know, this is always YouTube's excuse for everything. But you know, and so these are some of the immediate things I'm working on. These are going to come out, and then we're all going to see. We're going to be able to use, imagine being able to use Bitcoin for transactions. Like right now, Bitcoin is expensive, and it takes a while to do a transaction. My thing, pretty soon here, you'll be able to do instant Bitcoin transactions with anyone on the network for practically nothing. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm going to have. And that's not just Bitcoin. That's Litecoin, Zcash, Ethereum, and then a whole host of other cryptos. And you'll be able to buy products. You'll be able to sell products and services with crypto with this platform. And that's coming out very soon. And so it's going to make everything, like, it's going to make crypto more accessible. It's going to make our own decentralized mesh network more accessible. You know, you don't have to understand what I'm talking about to be able to use this. It'll seem very similar to, oh, it's just like YouTube or Facebook, only a little different looking perhaps, but it's going to be very different under the hood. The main difference is that, you know, this is built as a decentralized solution, so that essentially I couldn't see your passwords if I wanted to. I couldn't see your balances if I wanted to. I wouldn't be able to see your information if I wanted to. I'm designing it in that way where I am not a central authority on it, on all your data. Whereas Google has total reign on all your private data. They could know every single password that you have. You know, same. I mean, Yahoo it was shown that they were just keeping all their passwords in the database, and then someone actually hacked it, and then someone released all. You know, I mean, major security risk. And so that's part of why this is all taking so long, is because I have to make sure everything is very secure. And you know, I'm going to get attacked. Like, talk about trolls. I'm going to have hackers trying to penetrate my security. You know, that's the worst kind of trolling. Because, you know, yeah, it's a wild. The world is very brutal. You know, as we may hopefully we all know this. Unfortunately, this is the case. But like, because it is the case, we have to, I think, act accordingly. And that goes back to not just what I'm doing here and making sure it's all secure, but also going back to just admitting, being self-honest about the treacheries that are happening in today's society, the crimes that are being committed against humanity in general. They're inexcusable, and we shouldn't be allowing it anymore. We need to draw a line in the sand and say that's it. This is done. We are putting an end to this. It's kind of like what Astro was saying earlier. Just no more. And how do we do that? Like, that's the question. That's the thing we're trying to figure out. My proposal is that we use some technology combined with our own right to assemble, to come together and speak about anything, and to practice whatever religion we want. We basically we use our rights that we do have to establish a network, a system that could ultimately circumvent the current existing infrastructure that is problematic. And now we have our own money, we have our own communications, and we have our own self-governing system, which doesn't even require, blind faith in a representative, but instead can enable us all to vote on whatever issues we're interested in having a voice in. Not just vote, but actually engage in discourse. That could be happening. This is governance right here. We're talking about, like, we're establishing. This is like a council. Foreign relations. Now this is like, the existence council. Here we are talking about the issues of existence, the problems that existence is having with its own existence, and how can we solve these problems.
Okay, can I interrupt you there, Lee?
Please.
Just,
Someone, please.
An echo again still. But yeah, I just wanted to say it's essential for society at some point to have some form of a revolution. It needs to be reset, Yeah. And when did we last have one? Hey, I can't even remember, I'm young. But
have we ever had one before? Who knows?
I know it's scary talking.
Well, even tell us.
I mean, it's true, isn't it? We need to have a reset, and the only way to have that is to have, well, I would like to have a bloodless revolution. We don't need to shed any blood. We need to have it peaceful. Exactly. It's a knowledge-based revolution. Hey, look, I think if we did it this way, it would be better than your bullshit red, blue, politics. Yeah, sorry, I'm over now.
No, that's a good point, and I think that's the most important point because it's we the people have the power. It's not the other way around at all, and that's true of the entire world. And so that's the bottom line. Now, if we start going with force up against this system, of course we're going to meet force and resistance, right? So we can't battle it with conventional war. We don't want to, because people will lose their lives. People might lose their lives anyway here. But what we need to do is just bond together. The more we bond together, and the more we make a commitment to nonviolent action and nonviolent activism, where we're not, and even we're not going and protesting as much as. Our protest could be simply that we are using the iron framework instead, or some other framework. We're just using alternatives. That's a protest. If you say I'm no longer going to buy anything off of Amazon because I'm boycotting it, then you're taking a step. You're being proactive. That is a form of activism, even though you're actually you're not doing something. That's your action. But so we can do that all across the board, and we can create more alternatives for us to do that with. That's what I'm working on, is a few more alternatives. But there already are plenty of alternatives. I mean, I still feel bad that I use Google Chrome. I should just not be using Google Chrome.
Yeah, that's it. We need to be aware of we can make a change, and we can make a change so simply, man. Just by, like you said, Google Chrome. You can switch to Firefox or something else,
Right. Just switch it out and get the habit. We gotta change our habits. You know, that's what I need to do.
Don't go to Facebook every single flipping day, man. I mean, don't go to Facebook. Just boycott it for a week at least, you know, or a month.
Yeah.
Oh my
Remove
goodness,
all your personal information off of Facebook.
Yeah. Get off
back
Facebook.
Up all your data.
It's
and
a data mine.
Delete it. Delete your account.
Yeah. You know what you've eaten, who your best friends are, what you eat, when you eat, what you ate, because you took a picture of it. They can see where exactly you walked. They're tracking you because you've got maps on your phone. Not only have you got maps, they can see you went to this florist, you bought flowers, you paid with your credit card. They can see exactly how much it cost, you know. People aren't aware of this, and they're like, click, click, like, click, click. Oh, good, comment, click, click, like. Forget about the likes. You're being data mined, and not only data mined, they're totally inside you.
Yeah.
You know, wake up, realize what's going on.
I have to run to a rehearsal. Sorry, Astral and Aaron. This is really huge. It's about flat Earth. I found something before I go. I just found a ballet step that addresses flat Earth directly during this show. This is huge, okay? Wow. This is with love. I'm going to share this. I danced in a ballet in Switzerland, okay? It was called Brel and Bar, about these, Brel did Ne me quitte pas. It's a very famous song in French that Nina Simone sang, okay? And in this ballet, there was a Belgian song called Flack Land. Flack. So I looked up Flack Land, and this is what I found. Can you all see this? Flick and Flack? It says flat land. Do you see that? You see it? Okay, cool. Now, hold on 1 second. Let me try to find something else here for you. Flick. Yeah, Flick Flack is a ballet step. Okay, you see Flick Flack is a ballet step now? See that? Flack, ballet turn. So what am I doing in ballet, right? What's happening in ballet, y'all? This is a huge, huge, huge thing for dance, because I just found the term that is telling us that we're dancing on a freaking flat plane. So before I go, I'm so pumped. Can we say we're dancers?
What?
Yay. We are dancers.
We're dancers? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
We
are
dancers.
And the earth is flack. It's flack.
The earth is flack. Earth be flat.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much, man.
Great having you. See you next time.
Yay.
Thank you, Darren.
Have a nice,
Darren.
Have a nice dance session, whatever it is you call it, recital, whatever.
It's going to be with Venus in the Pleiades.
Have a nice flick flack.
Have a nice flick flack session.
Thanks again, y'all.
Thank you, Jay. Love you.
Easy. Peace and love.
Love you. Bye. Peace.
Well, Karen, what do you say? Should we wrap this up?
Yeah, we've been going for
7.5 hours now. Bloody hell, man.
7.5.
7.5. We've been going for three hours now, and yeah, that was really going for it at times. That chat tonight, it was really nice to see. Love it, and you know, you'll come back and give us more updates on Project Lumen, won't you, Aaron? Well, you're part of the family.
Yeah, we love you, Aaron. You're a good influence on this group. Yeah,
that's good to hear.
Definitely. So you belong here in a sense. You know, you need to come. Let us know what's going on, because we're also like delving down the same avenues, aren't we? We're all delving down the same avenues. So the more we can all interconnect and interrelate,
right,
the better it will be. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Oh no, I fully believe that. I think that's without a doubt. Like things started working out much better for me when I started meeting people and reaching out. Like I was doing flat Earth on my own, just trying to figure things out, and it was really frustrating, you know, up until I actually created that meetup out here in LA, and I started meeting people in person. That changed everything for me. You know, I think that's really the key here, is for us to, and even just this is we're not meeting in person per se, but we are getting to know each other, and I think that's really key here. You know, we're developing a community. You've been developing communities with this group here. There's other communities that are spawning, and my hope is that we can get all these communities to kind of work together, because that's the solution, right? You know, like if we have all these competing factions, then we're never going to get anywhere. But if we have everyone deciding, okay, we'll look past our little ego differences or difference of opinions or whatever, and just focus on what's important, which is revealing the truth to the masses and helping to awaken the masses of slumbering sheeple. You know, let's just do that together. We have that in common. Doesn't matter what degree or level or opinion you have.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. I agree. You know, I've been actually stepping it up the last few days with red pilling people.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're not going to red pill someone like directly, you can sprinkle some dust over them, a little bit of red dust over them, you know, make it a little bit less abrupt, a little bit more subtle. Yeah, let's do that, you know. Yeah, I mean, we've been sprayed chemtrails, so we'll sprinkle some of our flat Earth red dust over them, right, before we red pill them.
I think Sasha, or Orphan Red or whatever she called it, Fegalpez, flat Earth glitter pieces, I think, or flat Earth gold glitter pieces, something like that. Maybe that's the same kind of topic. I don't know. But yes, spreading that everywhere.
You mean like fairy dust? You mean like fairy dust?
Fairy dust. It's all fairy dust. It's all pretty much fairy dust. Just real. It's real. It's just not imaginary fantasy fairy dust.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because you've got like I've got my little piece of copper pipe here. It's like, you know, Peter Pan. Come follow me. Come follow me. Hey, look, TV. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this program. It's fantastic. They sit down, watch the program. Next thing you know, yeah, we've got the world we're living in today, and it's shit, isn't it? Basically, you know, because of TV. If you think about it, what they see, they believe.
TV,
what they see, they believe. Everything they've seen, they believe. You know, if it's on TV, it's got to be true. Where did you see that? Where did you hear about that on TV? It's got to be true then.
My genius idea I had when I was a kid, I decided to stop watching TV. I just decided, you know what? It seems like it's like I felt like the news was just, you know, a bunch of fear and, you know, always disasters happening. Like, what about all the good things that are happening in the world? You know what? I'm not going to pay for cable anymore. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm going to avoid commercials as much as I can. And that was over 20 years ago, you know. And so I think that was one of the greatest things I did for myself, because I freed myself from that propaganda machine. I mean, that's what it is. It just programs everyone who watches it into whatever the mainstream narrative is trying to push on the people. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Especially at this point. Now it's just completely blatant and obvious, you know. At least back in the day, it used to be a little more subtle. Now it's just like, oh man, are they doing a gun grab out here? They're just trying to grab our guns, and all these fake events that have so much evidence that they're fake. And then whenever someone mentions that they're fake, they get censored on YouTube. And then, you know, oh, just coincidentally that these same fake actors are also going on national television and getting all these spots everywhere to talk about how we needed to just like give up our gun rights. And that's, you know, we could go on. I could go on about that. But at this point, maybe we should wrap it up, because that's another whole thing.
Can I do one thing, Aaron?
Yeah, please.
So, what's next for Project Lumen?
All right, good question. What's next is I'm about to come out with a launch here. I'm about to launch a few various products. ProjectLumen.com or .org will be one of them. Iron Wallet, a new Iron Wallet is coming, and a social media platform that's actually going to be called Innerspace. So all of this and more coming soon to an internet near you, and also a new internet. So that we have that to look forward to. Yes.
Okay then. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you Jay. Thank you Astral. Thank you Aaron. Thank you Lev. I know he's been a bit quiet, and Patricia. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aaron. Mwah. We love you, Aaron, and only wish you well
everyone
with
watching.
this project.
Thank you, everyone watching. being.
Yeah, can I say I'd like to thank you, Karen, as well for all of this. And hey, Aaron, we love hearing from you, man. You're a brother from another mother. You know, for everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean that. I really mean
Aaron
that.
has a really lovely energy. All of us can feel it. And anybody that knows Aaron, he's got such a nice energy. Aaron has good frequency. So, yeah. A lovely person, and thank you for doing Project Lumen and trying to help the people. So, thank you, Aaron. Mwah. Anyway, we are back in a few days' time. Thank you, Astral, by the way. Mwah. Anyway, it is good night from us, good afternoon, or whatever it is, good morning. And we'll see you in a few days. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.